Welcome back, guys! Today, I'm bringing you a story where Naruto is born with both Uzumaki and Uchiha blood flowing through his veins. With unmatched talent, overwhelming chakra, and legendary eyes, he becomes the greatest prodigy Konoha has ever seen. This one is going to be absolutely insane. So enjoy the video.
Prologue. The village of Konoha or Kanahegakure no Sato is one of the 5 great ninja villages in the elemental countries. Some would even say it is the strongest of the 5 great villages. The village has created many great and strong ninjas such as Hashirama and Tobarama Senju, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Sakumo Hatake, Minato Namikaze, and many others who are legends in the ninja world. And today is a special day for the village, as today is the graduation day for the Ninja Academy, where new young ninjas will join the ranks. Ninja Academy. It is a bright morning and the sun is shining on the Ninja Academy, which is full of graduates celebrating their success and parents congratulating them for it and encouraging them on for their future. Looking on from a distance is a boy of age 5 looking with an emotionless face at the scene. The boy seems to be a little tall for his age with light-tanned skin, black spiky hair that spreads out in all directions, sky blue eyes that seem to glow. As for clothes, he is wearing black ninja sandals, combat pants, and a black muscle shirt with fingerless combat gloves, and a tanto with a black sheath with a silver hilt strapped to his back just above his hips. The most eye-catching details about the boy, other than his sky blue eyes that seem to glow, is the black ninja hi-8 wrapped around his left bicep and the distinct red and white fan symbol on the back of his shirt. Why are they even celebrating? Don't they know that more than half of these losers are going to get killed on the field, and the rest probably won't make it past 20? The ninja path is not for everyone, especially for some idiots that are doing it for fame and fortune. Idiots, thought the boy as he looked on emotionlessly. Hey, check it out. That's the orphan kid that turned out to be an Uchiha and got adopted into the clan. Man, I can't believe he graduated, and he's only 5. He must some prodigy, said one of the random civilians to his friend. Yeah, I heard he is a genius without equal. I mean, the kid graduated in just a year. Seriously, the only other kid that can match up is the clan heir Itachi, who also got graduated this year, replied the other civilian as they continued to gossip amongst themselves, no one noticing the slight flinch the boy had at the mention of adopted. The boy sighed as he closed his eyes. Yeah, I'm an orphan. Flashback 1 year ago. The same boy was lying on the ground, his forehead bleeding as he tried to get up. He glared bloody red daggers at the scene in front of him. In front of him was a middle-aged drunken man, and he was beating up a teenage girl who was also on the ground crying as the man kept on beating her. How do you like that, you little slut? When I tell you to do something, you do it, spoke the man as he drunkenly beat up the girl. The boy summoned every ounce of power from his body as he stood up shakily. Hey, you bastard, leave her alone, roared the boy as charged the man, but failed as the man kicked him away. You just don't listen, do you, little shit? Looks like I really have to teach you a lesson, said the drunken man as approached the boy and took out a kunai. Let's see if we can make a little adjustment to that annoying face of yours, spoke the man as he brought the kunai to the boy. Stop, cried the girl as she tackled the man away from the boy. The drunken man dropped the kunai as he fell down, but got angry at the same time. That's it, now you're going to get it, you little bitch, said the man as he stood up and started to strangle the girl. The girl tried to fight back, but couldn't free herself. She continued to try and free herself, but slowly stopped as the lack of oxygen caught up and life slowly left her eyes. The boy looked on horrified as the girl he considered his older sister died right in front of him, and he couldn't save her. Didn't have the power to protect her, no. No, thought the boy in despair and rage, and stood up as a new power flooded his body and stood up grabbing the kunai on the floor. The drunken man stopped as he looked and realized that the girl was dead. Shit, looks like I'll have to kill the boy. Can't have any witnesses, said the man, but when he turned around he froze as he looked at the deep red menacing eyes of the boy with 3 tomos spinning wildly inside them. Die, you bastard, roared the boy as he appeared in front of the man with surprising speed and stabbed the man right in the throat. Blood sprayed at the boy's face as the man fell down, but the boy didn't stop as kept on stabbing the man repeatedly. Finally, after 5 minutes, the boy stopped stabbing the man, but then stopped and threw the knife away and walked slowly towards the dead girl. Tears were falling freely from the boy's eyes as he looked at the dead girl. Nason, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough. I'm sorry, said the boy as he held the girl closely to his chest and kept on saying sorry. Flashback end. Then the village police found us in that warehouse, and when they saw me having the Sharingan, they took me to the clan head, and other stuff happened, and here I am, thought the boy as looked at his left palm and clenched it. I swear, Nason, I'll never be weak again to protect those I love. Silently declared the boy as determination burned in his eyes. Congratulations on graduating, spoke the clan head of the Uchiha clan Fugaku as he approached the boy, and alongside Fugaku was his son Itachi Uchiha, with his own headband wrapped around his forehead. Thank you, Fugakudano, replied the boy as he nodded towards the clan head. I look forward to seeing your progress, Naruto, said Fugaku as he looked at Naruto with an approving look. Congratulations, Naruto, and I hope we get selected on the same team, spoke Itachi as smiled slightly towards Naruto. Thanks and congrats to you too, Itachi, and it would be nice to be on a team with someone competent, replied Naruto, as also gave a slight smile as well. Actually, unlike other traditional teams where the Hokage decides who are paired up in a three-man team, your two cases will be different, as I've requested that you two be placed on a team of two, and your sensei will be different members of the Uchiha clan who will teach you in their area of expertise and any area of the ninja arts where you might be interested in, said Fugaku as he looked at the surprised faces of the young genin and mentally smirked. But why though? Asked Naruto. Simple, you two are the most talented ninja to appear in a long time, and the Uchiha clan needs to rise up again, so that's why I've decided to not waste your time with a mediocre jonin and some weak genin holding you back, so I came up with this plan, replied Fugaku as he turned around and left the two genin alone. Well, that's a surprise, but a good one, and I look forward to working with you, Itachi, Naruto said as he looked towards Itachi. Same here, Naruto. The two genin looked at each other, then raced off towards the clan compound to begin their training as genin. Time skip October 10th. Damn, today's mission was a close one. I didn't think the Chunin would attack us, considering the war just ended a little while back, said Naruto as he sat on a porch and drank some orange juice. They were Nuke-nin, Naruto, so even if we captured them it wouldn't have mattered, but I'm more surprised with how you killed your opponent with that lighting move. What was it called again? Replied Itachi as drank some tea and sat alongside Naruto and relaxed. Naruto grinned as he held his right index and middle finger and pointed it towards a tree, and sparks of electricity started to gather around his fingers. I call it piercing light. And just as he said that, a beam of electricity shot out from his fingers and pierced the tree easily, leaving a burning hole in the middle. Itachi raised an eyebrow, interested in the move his rival/friend just used. It's pretty useful. Who taught you that? Actually, I made it myself. Since you're doing fire nature manipulation training, I'm doing lightning, and as you can see it's going pretty damn good, but it still doesn't have enough piercing power, so I'm still working on it. But wouldn't it be better if you used it with hand seals? That way it will be easier to control, and you can increase its power, Itachi asked, confused. You might be right, but that will make me dependent on hand seals, and that takes time which I can't afford to waste in a battle. But not only that, if I can master jutsu without hand seals, or at least lower it to very small number of hand seals, I can be a lot more efficient in battle, and lastly, it will skyrocket my control on the elements if I master using them without hand seals. Naruto replied as his right hand started to get covered in lightning. You're right, but that will take time, but then again you always choose the most difficult of things, said Itachi, amused at his rival's answer. Naruto smirked. It isn't any fun if it isn't difficult. The two rivals continued to chat together until a wave of complete power and terror washed over them, and just then an almighty roar shook the village as screams were heard all around the village. What was that? Asked Itachi as jumped to the top of the house and saw a sight that made his run cold. In the middle of the village was a gaunt nine-tailed crimson fox destroying everything in its path. Naruto was also shocked at the sight before him, but quickly snapped out of it and looked at his rival. Listen, Itachi, we have to get everyone to safety. You get your family and get them to the safety bunker, and I'll get the civilian Uchiha, because if that thing decides to attack here, then we will be dead, so get moving. Itachi nodded and both boys ran towards their targets as fast as possible so they could save as many lives as possible. Later, when boys had gotten their jobs done, and now they were watching from a safe distance away the fight between the Yondaime Hokage and the nine-tailed fox. While the boys only got a few glimpses of the fight, they were awestruck that the Hokage could stop a monster like that. "Hey, you two, everyone is ordered to get to the front of the Hokage Tower. It looks like it's mandatory, and especially to ninjas, so get moving," said a random ninja as he passed by the boys. "I wonder what the big announcement is, and I hope the Yondaime is alright," said Naruto as he started roof jumping to get to his destination. "We will find out when we get there, so let's get moving," said Itachi, and both boys increased their speed. In front of Hokage Tower. Almost everyone in the village are gathered around the Hokage Tower, everyone anticipating the news of the Hokage, and everyone were whispering amongst themselves. On the top of the Hokage Tower came the Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, and he waited a moment as everyone quieted down and waited for his announcement. "People of Konoha, I have grave news as today, when the nine-tailed fox attacked our village and was defeated by the Yondaime. But he had to sacrifice his life to seal the fox inside this newborn child, and his final wish was for this child to be seen as our savior," said the third Hokage, and everyone was silent for a while. No one made a sound. Until roars of murder was called to kill the child or kill the demon while it was weak or finish what the Yondaime started. It kept on going until the Sandaime declared an S-rank law to keep this incident a secret from the younger generation, and if anyone broke it, then they would be instantly executed without trail. Everyone kept quiet after that. No one could go against a law like that made by the Hokage. Later, both Naruto and Itachi were walking back towards the Uchiha compound, and both were silent as they processed the new information. The nine-tailed fox attacked the village. The Yondaime sealed the fox inside a newborn child, but sacrificed his life. The village has suffered great losses both financially and military-wise as well. Everyone hates the child that is unknowingly keeping the village safe. "So what do you think about the kid that got the fox inside her?" Naruto asked as almost reached the Uchiha compound, which looked fine since the fox wasn't any at all, so the compound came out unscathed through the attack. Itachi was quiet for a moment before he answered, "We owe our lives to her. I don't see why the other villagers are acting so stupidly about. They should trust the Yondaime and his sealing abilities since he was famous for it after all." Naruto nodded. "Yeah, but it can't be helped, they are all blinded by their rage and sorrow for now. I just hope they get it in their heads soon that that girl isn't the fox and don't do anything stupid." "Yes, I hope so too, but I wonder what will in the future now," Itachi asked. "Things are definitely going to change," replied Naruto as he looked towards the full moon. Chapter 1. Heritage and the Chunin Exams. It has been a year after the Kyuubi attack, and the village is still recovering and is struggling to get back to how strong it once was. Ninjas have to work overtime so that the other villages and clients don't think the village has gotten weak. Hokage Tower. Inside the main meeting room of the Hokage Tower, the village council members are waiting for the Hokage to arrive. The council consists of two parts: the Shinobi Council, which consists of the clan heads. They mainly deal with shinobi matters or their own members, while the other part of the council is the Civilian Council, which consists of civilians who deal with the financial problems of the village. While in the reign of the first Hokage, there weren't any councils as he didn't find it necessary. It changed when the second Hokage decided it would be beneficial to the village, but gave them very minimum power, and it also brought order to the people of the village, though that all changed in the late years of the third Hokage, where he foolishly gave the council many rights and powers which made many of them greedy and corrupt. Today the council is just a shadow of what it once was, where before the members worked so that the village may prosper, but now it's filled with corrupt, power-hungry people that only want to fill their pockets. The Hokage entered the room, and everyone stood up as respect for the Hokage. "All right, let's begin today's meeting. Hokage-sama, we evaluated all the mission reports, and we are sad to say that the village is getting lesser missions very weak, even though the ninja are working overtime. If this keeps up, our village status will lower dramatically, and one of the other villages might even attack us. We must do something to assure the might of our village to the daimyo and the other villages," spoke Shikaka Nara, who was the head of Nara clan and the war strategist for the village. The third Hokage sided the news, so I've heard Shikaku, and it seemed that making the ninjas work even harder will not help, so we must find another solution to this problem. So I ask all of you, do any of you have any ideas or suggestions? Everyone was quiet at the question. All were thinking of finding a way out of this mess. If I may, Hokage-sama? Asked Fugaku, and everyone looked towards him to see what he had to offer. Yes, go ahead, Fugaku, replied the Hokage. Hokage-sama, you said our problem is that everyone believes that our village has gotten weak due to losing many of our ninja because of the QB incident, and try as we might, we cannot hide this fact either, so I believe we must show them what we lack in number we more than make up for in quality, said Fugaku, and everyone got interested in what he just said. That's an interesting proposal, but how do you plan on proving that? Asked the aged Hokage as he rubbed his chin in thought. Fugaku smirked a bit. It's simple, really. The earliest Chunin exams are being held in Kumo, I believe, and if we send two extremely powerful genin who wipe out the competition, then it will prove that Konoha has not fallen. Everyone raised an eyebrow at that, but it was Hayashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga clan, that asked the question everyone wanted answered. 2 genin? I believe the standard is 3 genin everywhere, and who are you suggesting for the exams? It would be my son Itachi and a member of my clan Naruto, who are both prodigies without equal, and I myself have tested them, and can say that they both are easily high Chunin level. Now then, if we send them, and everyone sees that 2 genin who are only 6 years old destroy the competition, then it will be a clear message that Konoha is not to be trifled with, answered Fugaku, and everyone found the idea quite good and logical, considering both the boys were famous because of them graduating so early and setting a record. That's a very interesting proposal. Very well. If everyone is in agreement, then Naruto and Itachi Uchiha will be sent off to participate in the Kumo Chunin exams, asked the Hokage after some thought, and everyone readily agreed since there weren't any better solutions. All right then, Fugaku, you have 1 month time to prepare the boys for the exams, because then they will have to go to Kumo for the exams. So use your time wisely and good luck, said the Hokage as Fugaku nodded, and everyone began to leave since they were dismissed. Uchiha Compound Training Grounds. Naruto and Itachi were both sparring using only taijutsu, and were at it for quite some time now. From a distance, anyone who is an expert in taijutsu will be able to tell the type of style both the boys were using. While Itachi's style looks like it was based on speed and quick precision hits and blocks, Naruto's was far different, as it was made for balance and speed and power, and made to attack all vital points on the upper body with deadly accuracy and power while dodging or deflecting any blows to his own body. The boys continued on till they were interrupted by Itachi's father. The Chunin exams? Are you sure we are ready, Fugakudano? Asked Naruto. Yes, I do. I was right when I got you two to be taught by fellow Uchiha, and your skill have greatly improved in all the ninja arts. But now you must both choose a specific training you want to get better in, as you only have a month, and I believe it would be better if you had a trump card for the exams just in case, said Fugaku, and he waited as both the boys thought over it. Father, while I know that I haven't mastered the fire element, yet I would like to work on my water affinity so that I would have a backup element in case someone manages to counter my fire jutsu, finally answered Itachi after minutes of thinking. Fugaku nodded and looked towards Naruto. Will you be working on a different element as well? Naruto shook his head. No, I'm confident I can survive with my lightning and fire jutsu, but what I want to work on is my kenjutsu, since I haven't had enough time to get to an acceptable level, and it would be helpful if I can work with a kenjutsu specialist. Fugaku nodded. You both have made smart choices, so I will arrange for instructors for the both of you, and you will begin your training immediately. Time skip. A month had passed quickly, and Naruto and Itachi had trained non-stop in that time. After they were done, they traveled to Kumo with an umbu just in case they have to fight anyone out of their league. Finally, after traveling for days, the two young Uchiha arrived at Kumogakure no Sato, and they had to admit it was at every impressive village which was situated in the mountains. After they entered the village and got through security and identification checks, they made their way to the designated building for the first part of the exam. The first part of the exam was extremely easy in their opinion, since it was an information gathering test where they had to steal information containing papers from the other genin and not get caught by any proctors. It was easy considering they could easily pickpocket the weaker teams with help from some genjutsu, and they didn't even know it. Then came the second part of the exams, which according to the proctor is a survival exam, where the Genin teams have to protect the scroll they are given while destroying the scroll of another team, while also surviving in the harsh mountain range full of dangerous animals, and with having less sources for food and water, which forces the teams to fight over them, and having proof of their achievement of survival and destroying another scroll, and should a team get their scroll destroyed or damaged beyond use, then they also would be disqualified. This exam would continue for 5 days, after which the surviving teams will be allowed to continue to the next part of the exam. Alright, Itachi, looks like we're going to have to finish off a team as quickly as possible and then disappear to the rest and gather food and water so we can survive, said Naruto as he and Itachi both quickly ran in the forest. Do you have a plan in mind for taking out a team as quickly as possible without us revealing any of our techniques? Asked Itachi. Naruto grinned as he activated his 3-Tomo Sharingan. Don't I always, Itachi? Well, let's hear it, asked Itachi, and Naruto began to explain his plan. In another part of the forest was a group of 12-year-old Mizu Genin who were jumping along the trees and preparing themselves so that they could attack a team soon. Damn, looks like it's our lucky day, guys. We found those Konoha babies this early, said one of the Genin as looked at the clearing in front of them and saw both Naruto and Itachi sitting near the base of a tree. Yeah, let's just destroy that scroll they have and be done with it, replied another Genin. The 3 Genin made their way towards Naruto and Itachi, who didn't notice their presence till they jumped in front of them. Hey Konoha, brats, how about you give us that scroll of yours, and we won't hurt you much, said the leader of the 3 Genin as he smirked at them. In no way, this is our scroll. We're not going to give it to you, stammered Naruto as he took out a kunai and stood up shakily. Itachi wasn't faring any better as he tried to stand bravely. The Mizu Genin smirked at the cowering kids. Listen, we don't want to hurt you, so be good kids and give us the scroll, said the leader as he and his teammates got closer to the Konoha Genin, and the leader picked Naruto up by the collar as he glared at him in order to intimidate him, but frowned when he saw Naruto smirk. What's so funny, brat? Asked the leader. You guys, answered Naruto as he exploded in an explosion of electricity, blowing away the Mizu Genin while giving them first-degree burns and electrocuting them at the same time. The Mizu Genin couldn't think what was happening around them. One second they were about to get themselves a scroll from weak kids, but the next one of them explodes and electrocutes them. Well, look at what we have here, Itachi. A couple of soon-to-be dead men, said Naruto as he came out of the trees with his Sharingan active and a creepy dark smirk on his face that would make any man flinch in fear, and it didn't help matters that he had his Tanto unsheathed. True, but I wonder if they are smart enough and save themselves from that fate, said Itachi. He also came out from atop a tree from the direction opposite of Naruto, and he also had his Sharingan. What? How did you do that? Asked the leader of the Genin. Naruto smirked. Easy, it was my Shadow Clone Lightning Explosion. It's a variation of the Shadow Explosion Jutsu with the lightning element added in, and its main purpose is paralysis. Pretty good, huh? It's my own creation, you know. I don't think telling people who will be dead will do any good, Naruto, Itachi said, and Naruto's smirk turned into a grin. I guess you have point. Well then, shall we begin? Asked Naruto as he came closer, and the Genin began to try to move their bodies, but it was futile. Their bodies just won't respond. All their limbs were numb, and they couldn't move their face away from those evil-looking blood-red eyes. Wait. Look, just take our scroll and let us live. We promise we'll never bother you again. Just please let us live, cried the leader, and the other 2 Genin looked like they were about to cry. This was their first Chunin exam, and they thought after going through 9 C-rank missions this would be a breeze. They had never imagined they would have to face someone so dangerous, and it certainly didn't help the fact that they were only 2 6-year-olds, and the dark looks on their faces just made everything worse. Naruto frowned. Alright, but if we see you again. Then his face positively gained a murderous look, and the killing intent he was releasing was like dropping 20 pounds on their heads. I'll break you. Those words right there made the Genin know this was one person you shouldn't mess with under any circumstance, and the look in his eyes practically screamed that there are worse things than just a simple death. The Genin had their scroll taken and were left to rot paralyzed in the clearing. Did you have to scare them so much? They looked like they were about to wet themselves, Itachi asked after they had gotten a safe distance away from the defeated Genin. Fear is a powerful tool, Itachi. If used properly, we can get lots of things done, and I didn't want them wanting revenge because we beat them, and remember that if your scroll gets damaged, you're disqualified, Naruto answered, and Itachi nodded. One of your life lessons, Naruto? Asked Itachi. Yep, Naruto answered after some pause. It was no secret that Naruto did not talk much about his life before he was adopted, and Itachi suspected that something traumatic had happened to him. And then there was also the fact he hated people who abused their power and played with others' lives. There were very few people Naruto spoke to on friendly terms with, and that was him and his mother. To the rest of the world, he was apathetic or neutral. The rest of the exam went by fairly quick. Both the boys steered clear of the other teams and had gathered enough food and water to last them 5 days. Though the only good thing that came out of this exam was the multiple earth, water, and lightning jutsu they were able to copy from the other genin who fought each other. Naruto was excited. He had just gotten multiple jutsu for his repertoire, and he couldn't wait to test them out. The exam soon finished, and 6 teams had passed, but since the number was large, it was decided that an elimination round would take place before the final part of the exams, and due to this, only 16 genin participated in the elimination round since some genin were too tired to battle and forfeited. The matchups were made many interesting genin won. The ones that caught Naruto's attention, though, were 2 blondes, one boy, and the other a girl, and they both looked like they were 10 years old. The blonde boy looked like a typical pretty boy that could pass off as girl, and his long ponytailed hairstyle didn't help. He was wearing black combat pants, maroon-colored shirt, an IWA headband around his forehead, and 2 open small bags strapped to his belt. The blonde girl was very good-looking for her age. Her figure showed she trained a lot, and she was wearing black pants, a long-sleeved blue shirt with a gray vest, and kept her hair in a ponytail with a Kumo headband around her forehead. They both had won their matches quite easily. The blonde boy, whose name was Deidara, won his match by using exploding clay and making them into spiders and surrounding his opponent and forcing to surrender unless they wanted to be added to his art. Needless to say, his opponent quickly surrendered. The blonde girl named Yujito Ni also had an interesting match. She pretty much overpowered her opponent with great speed and fire jutsu. Lastly, Itachi finished his match off by putting his opponent in a Jinjutsu via Sharingan and won. The screen for the matches flickered again, and it showed Naruto v/S Darui. "Alright, Genin, get to the arena and begin," said the proctor, and Naruto got ready to face his opponent, who was a Kumo Genin. His opponent was also only 10 years old, wearing the traditional Kumo outfit consisting of black pants, black undershirt with a gray vest with gray ninja sandals. He had blonde hair and dark brown eyes. "Alright, begin," yelled the proctor, and both the genin stood ready, sizing each other up. Either wasn't making a move until Naruto started off by throwing shuriken at Darui. Darui easily dodged by jumping to the side, but had to curse as his opponent had started going through hand seals. "Lightning release. Electric bullet," said Naruto as he shot a ball of lightning from his mouth, but was surprised to see that his jutsu got intercepted by the same attack and got overpowered by it, and Naruto had to jump away to avoid getting hit by the jutsu. "That's a Kumo jutsu taught to genin. You copied that in the survival exam, didn't you?" asked Darui as he stood across the arena to Naruto. "Yes, so. I'm more surprised my jutsu was overpowered by yours. How is that possible?" Since it was the same jutsu, Naruto asked, confused and a little angry, but hit it well. "Your famous Sharingan may be able to see chakra and copy jutsu, but your body can't copy chakra control. Even if you know the jutsu, it won't matter if your opponent knows the jutsu better than you, and this goes to show your Dojutsu isn't perfect, huh?" Darui asked, a little proud of himself. Naruto was surprised he hadn't thought of that. Even if he could copy any jutsu, it would be useless since he won't be able to use it full-powered instantly. Because of his lack of control, I have to get my chakra under complete control. It's my power, and I'm its master, so it's only logical I'm master controlling it. And from now on, I have to be careful with which jutsu I use because using half-assed jutsu will get me killed. Naruto thought and promised himself. "I see, thank you for making me realize my mistake, and for that I'm going to finish this off fast And with my own jutsu, Naruto said with a neutral face and unsheathed his tanto, and lightning started to cover the blade. Don't think it's going to be easy. I plan on winning this too, you know, Darui said as he took out a kunai. Then let's finish this, Naruto said as he ran forward, and Darui did the same, and as they came within 2 meters of each other, Naruto activated his Sharingan, and Darui made the mistake of looking into his eyes, and it was over. Darui's body was completely paralyzed, and he couldn't move after seeing those red eyes. Damn it, Darui thought, angry at himself for forgetting that fact. Naruto had stopped in front of Darui and had his tanto held close to Darui's neck, and the proctor called the match. Don't be disappointed that you lost. You were a lot better than the other genin in the exams, and I'm sure you can get promoted if you try again next year, Naruto said as he walked away, never noticing Darui smiling. Damn, that is one cool kid, said the third Raikage as he saw the fight. After the elimination matches were done, and the Raikage gave a speech about the true purpose of the Chunin exams, which Naruto taught was pretty stupid. The final round matches were decided. First round, Naruto v/S Deidara. Second round, Yujito v/S Ikki. Third round, Yuki v/S Fusei. Fourth round, Itachi v/S Sora. And the genin were given 1 month to prepare themselves for the exams which they used to train. The month had passed quickly for Naruto and Itachi, and they both had trained vigorously. While Itachi had worked on improving his taijutsu and jinjutsu, Naruto had worked himself to the bone doing chakra control exercises since he had high Umbu captain level chakra and the most potent chakra ever. He had his work cut out for him, but he had succeeded in getting his chakra control to mid-jonin level, and he worked on improving his speed. The day of the final exams came, and the arena was full of spectators, and many important figures had come like the daimyo and the Hokage, Kazekage, and Tsuchikage. The proctor welcomed everyone to the arena and began by listing the matches and finally calling on the fighters' names, which were Naruto and Deidara. Both genin stood across from each other, staring each other down, and Deidara smirked. Well, now ready to get your ass kicked, little Uchiha? Deidara asked, trying to rile up Naruto, but it seemed futile since Naruto looked at him with a bored look. Big talk coming from a girl playing with mud, Naruto said, and internally smirked at the angry look on Deidara's face. That's it, you little shit. I'm going to murder you for that comment, Deidara exclaimed and shoved his hands in his pouches and took out his detonating bird clay and fired them at Naruto. Hope you like art, cuz art is an explosion, Deidara said in joy and a little madness, and waited to see his art unfold, but was surprised when Naruto moved his arm in a cutting motion and his clay got destroyed midway. But that wasn't possible, Deidara thought, until he saw sparks of electricity in the air. What was that? Deidara asked, surprised and slightly nervous since he was a long-range fighter, and if Naruto found a way to defeat his style, then this fight was over. Naruto smirked. That's my latest move, lightning sword slash. And as he said that, lightning gathered around his right hand and moved forward and took the shape of a sword around his hand. Pretty cool, huh? I can control its range and size, making it the best move for destroying your little mud toys before they can reach me, Naruto explained. And while Deidara should have been afraid a little since his opponent could counter him, he was more enraged of the fact that Naruto mocked him and his art, and that was unforgivable in his book. I don't care about your move. You mocked my art, and now I'm going to make you face the consequences, Deidara said, as he started firing off different types of detonating clay animals like spiders, snakes, and birds, but they were futile against Naruto, as he simply destroyed them before they could reach him. I think it's time I finish this before you can come up with a different plan, Naruto said as he disappeared from Deidara's view, who panicked at not being able to find his opponent, but it was too late as he felt a blade to his neck and saw Naruto holding his tanto to his neck. How did you? Deidara asked, stunned. Easy, the second move I created, which I call Flash Step, which allows me to move at high speeds, and now it's over, Naruto answered with a smirk, and the proctor called the match, making Naruto the victor, and the crowd cheered. The next matches weren't as special as Yujito. Itachi and Fusei won their matches, and the semi-final match began. The proctor began the match, and both the genin studied each other before Yujito charged forward and started to throw a barrage of punches and kicks at Naruto, who simply dodged or deflected the attacks. And this kept on going for 5 minutes, where try as Yujito might, she couldn't hit Naruto, who was stronger, faster, and had way better technique. Naruto was getting bored since Yujito couldn't land any blows on him while he was getting in a few very destructive punches to her upper body, and she WSS, slowing down a sign of her running low on stamina. Naruto finally punched Yujito across the face, which sent her flying 2 meters backward. "You should give up since you're outmatched here," Naruto said. And when Yujito saw Naruto's face, her blood boiled since his face showed he was bored, like she wasn't even worth his time, and that made her very angry. The audience were stunned when Yujito was covered in a blue cloak of chakra, and her brown eyes became blue with slits, but Naruto was even more surprised when she disappeared from sight in a burst of speed and appeared in front of him with her fist pulled back and punched him, which sent him flying back. As Naruto quickly rolled on the ground and got back up, he shot forward with flash step and tried to fight Yujito, but it was useless since she had incredibly stronger and faster, and he just couldn't keep up even though he tried using flash step, and even his Sharingan wasn't helping since his body couldn't react fast enough to stop Yujito's attacks and leave him to perform long-range jutsu. "Damn it, there has to be a way for me to turn this fight back around," thought Naruto as he tried to block Yujito's punches and was sent hurtling back by a hook to the jaw. "Give up," Yujito said in her two-tal Biju cloak mode to Naruto, who was bleeding on the ground. "Damn it, is this my limit? No, even if I lose, I'll go down fighting, because I'm never to give up," Naruto thought with extreme determination and got back up on his 2 feet and glared at Yujito. "Don't you ever dare to tell me to give up," Naruto roared, and his body was flooded with new chakra and his right arm felt like it was burning. And as he pointed his right palm towards Yujito, a sky blue-colored chakra chain shot out at her with super speed, and the surprised Yujito couldn't act fast enough to dodge as he chain wrapped tightly around her, and her Biju cloak started to disappear. Naruto himself was surprised at what he just did since he thought he was only an Uchiha, but the power he was using right now was an Uzumaki bloodline, and his mind started to wander if one of his parents were Uzumaki while the other Uchiha, but quickly stopped since he had a fight to win and his body hurt as well. Yujito's Biju cloak had disappeared only after a few moments, and her chakra was being suppressed. Things couldn't get any worse for her, and just when she was so close to winning. "Well, do you surrender?" Naruto asked, and Yujito wanted to say no, but couldn't since she had lost after getting caught by his chakra chains. After a minute, Yujito sighed and forfeited, and Naruto was announced the winner, and the crowd were stunned. Even the Hokage was surprised since he didn't think that Naruto would be part Uzumaki, but it did explain his amazing chakra reserves and stamina. After Itachi's match with Fusei, it was Naruto vs Itachi, and everyone were waiting impatiently to see the fight between the two prodigies. Itachi looked at Naruto and smiled a little. "I almost thought you were going to lose back there." Naruto smirked. "I promised, didn't I, that we'd meet at the finals of the exams? Well, you should know by now, I always keep my promises." "Yes, I suppose I doubt you from now on, but everything aside, I believe we have a match to fight." "You're right, we shouldn't let me wait any longer," and with that said Proctor. Both boys forfeited. Everyone was stunned beyond belief since it was the most anticipated match of them all, and they forfeited. Boos were heard all over the arena due to disappointment. "Silence!" roared the Raikage, and everyone quickly shut up. "All right, why did you two forfeit?" The Raikage asked, and even the Hokage wanted to know. "Because we came here to represent Konoha, and we don't fight comrades with the intent to kill in Konoha, so we forfeit since we have shown enough of what Konoha ninja are about," both boys answered together, and the Raikage and Daimyo's respect to Konoha grew, and the third Hokage, skilled at young genin, looks like the will of fire burns strongly inside their hearts, and they have certainly earned their Chunin rank, thought the third. As for the crowd, they erupted in cheers and applause for the genin with such great camaraderie and skill. "Well, looks like we're also getting the youngest Chunin title added to our names," Itachi said with amusement in his voice. "And this is just the beginning." "Cough, cough, damn stupid seals," said Naruto as he tried to breathe normally due to the smoke caused by the seal malfunctioning, thus exploding in his face, though he was lucky it wasn't a strong one. 6 months have passed since the Chunin exams, and now the 7-year-old Naruto Uchiha, who found out is also an Uzumaki, is working on mastering the sealing arts. "I take it that was another failure." asked Itachi as he entered Naruto's apartment through the window and had an amused expression on his usually emotionless face, and he looked around the living room. The apartment was in the Uchiha district and was fairly big for a two-bedroom apartment with a medium-sized kitchen, two well-equipped bathrooms, and a decent-sized living room with convenient and comfortable furniture. The apartment was given to Naruto by Fugaku when he graduated the academy, while usually orphaned or poor members of the clan got modest housing. Naruto was a special case since he was a prodigy, and the clan wanted him to be comfortable, so they got him the best apartment they could get him. Though now the living room was a complete mess and the room was full of smoke. "No shit. What the hell did you think it was?" asked Naruto, a little irritated at the fact he kept on messing up his new resistance seals. "I don't know, perhaps you finally found your ninja quirk," Itachi replied, amused at his rival's predicament. "Seriously? You seriously think I have a fetish for blowing myself up now?" Naruto asked, irritated at the amused face Itachi was making. Now, no need to get angry, Naruto. And besides, lots of ninjas have weird quirks like the Sannin, for example, who are famous for either being a pervert, a drunk, or a mad scientist, though I suppose it comes with the power since, as they say, power and madness come hand in hand, though it's up to us what kind of madness or quirk we get, Itachi replied slyly. Naruto smirked. "Like your quirk is collecting cat paw prints." Itachi had a surprised expression for a second before it vanished and got replaced with an irritated one. "May I ask how you found that out?" "I was taking a stroll around the district when I saw you with Shursui doing something, and I got curious since you don't spend much time with him, and later I saw you guys taking cat paw prints." "Seriously, Itachi?" Naruto asked with a grin and mentally praised himself for being able to make Itachi embarrassed. Itachi coughed to compose himself. "While moving along, looks like you can't really improve in Fuinjutsu without a proper teacher or books, and since the clan is limited on the subject, I suggest on convincing Jiraiya of the Sannin to teach you since he is the only seal master left in Konoha after all," Itachi advised helpfully, and Naruto sighed as he thought over his options. Since he couldn't find books on the subject, and working by himself wasn't getting him any good results, he will need a proper teacher if he wants to master the art, and Jiraiya is the only person who can help him. "Looks like I'm going Sannin hunting. Well, any advice on finding the guy since he travels a lot, or how to convince him?" Naruto asked as looked at Itachi. "Well, you could ask the third Hokage to give you a mission with Jiraiya, and you can convince him on the way." Thanks Itachi, I think I'll do that," said Naruto as he prepared himself to leave for the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed as he looked at the young ninja in front of him. "So you want to learn Fuinjutsu from Jiraiya, and in order to do that you want to go on the next mission," he goes on with him. Naruto merely nodded. "Yes, Hokage-dano, I do, since it's only right I master the art that my clan was famous for." The third Hokage nodded. "Well, that's true, and from your mission's record, I guess you can go on an A-rank mission now, but I doubt Jiraiya will teach you since he's very adamant about not having any more students after the fourth Hokage died." Naruto, however, didn't falter. "He doesn't has to take me as his apprentice, but only teach me Fuinjutsu, Hokage-dano." "Well, you can convince him of that yourself. Anyways, I'll reserve you for when he comes back, so don't take any missions, and when he comes back you can leave for the mission." Naruto nodded stoically and excused himself, but on the inside, he was very excited since he couldn't wait to start mastering Fuinjutsu. 1 week later, Naruto is waiting at the entrance of the main village gate with his ninja gear and is waiting patiently and leaning on a wall casually. He had gotten the news that Jiraiya was back and his mission was given to him, which was to spy on one of the important food merchants of Konoha who was suspected of betrayal and find out if he's planning on betraying Konoha or worse, allying with another hidden village. It was a simple but important mission since if the merchant wasn't going to betray them, then it was fine, but if he does, then his life would be forfeit since if he sides with another village secretly and later sends poisoned or tampered food, then the village would suffer, which wasn't acceptable. So here he was waiting patiently for one of the Sannin and preparing himself mentally for any situation on the mission and thinking of ways to convince the Sannin to teach him Fuinjutsu. He didn't have to wait longer as an energetic and curious voice interrupted his thoughts. "Well, so you're the kid prodigy I've been hearing about, and looks like we're going to work on the same team, huh?" asked Jiraiya as he looked at Naruto and silently observed him. The kid looks like he trains hard, and the look on his face tells me he's killed before, so he won't be a hindrance, and it looks like the rumors were true. He isn't arrogant or a show-off like the rest of his clan, and that just gets him on my okay book, though Jiraiya appraisingly of the young Chunin. Hello, Jiraiya Dano. It's nice to finally meet you, and yes, it looks like we will be working together on this mission, and I hope I can learn a lot from you on this mission, replied Naruto as he nodded towards Jiraiya. Damn, I wish all kids were this respectful, thought Jiraiya as he smiled at the polite Chunin. Well, that's good to hear, and I've also heard you were looking for me to teach you Fuinjutsu. Is that right? Asked Jiraiya as he looked at Naruto and waited for his response. Yes, that's right, Jiraiya Dano, and I'd appreciate it if you would teach me, replied Naruto and waited anxiously for a reply. Jiraiya sighed. Look, kid, as great a prodigy and polite kid you are, I just don't want to have another apprentice right now. Naruto sighed at the reply. I understand, Jiraiya Dano, but you don't have to make me your apprentice. I just want to learn Fuinjutsu from you. And if you don't have the time for that, then please I request you to at least lend me some books or advice you might have, Naruto pleaded, and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at the request, since most Uchiha, even the most modest, won't lower themselves to plead anyone. Well, damn kid, why do you even want to learn Fuinjutsu? Jiraiya asked, perplexed at the young boy. As you know that Uzushio was destroyed in the Second Great Shinobi War, and so was the Uzumaki clan, and most think that the clan is extinct, but they aren't, as they live on through me, and that's why I want to learn Fuinjutsu, so that I may honor my clan's memory, replied Naruto with passion and determination in his every word, and Jiraiya sighed as he heard the reply. You seriously know how to convince someone, kid, and besides, Fuinjutsu was practically created by the Uzumaki clan, so it's only right that an Uzumaki masters it. Plus, I'll be even more famous when word gets out I trained another genius. Jiraiya replied sincerely at first, but boastingly at the end, as he praised himself on his amazing teaching skills. Naruto got relieved and excited at the answer. So you'll teach me? Yeah, I guess so, kid. So come on, we got a mission to do, so let's get moving. I'll teach you a few things on the way, replied Jiraiya, and both ninja headed out towards their mission. Later, after 2 days of travel, both ninja found themselves at the designated town in which their target was supposed to have a meeting. All right, looks like we made it in good time, so here we're going to be splitting up, kid, Jiraiya said, and Naruto got confused. That's fine, but what are we going to do here? Naruto asked, and the perverted smirk on Jiraiya's face certainly didn't make him feel good about the answer. Well, you try to find the target your way, and I'll be finding him by doing a little research around town, and we'll meet after 4 hours in the town square, Jiraiya replied, and sped off towards his destination. Naruto sighed as he looked at the direction Jiraiya was headed towards. I don't know what he's up to, but I'm curious as to what he's doing, and I might learn something, so I might as well follow him. And so Naruto stealthily followed Jiraiya, and later was disappointed to find him going to a brothel and getting laid. This guy is seriously a Sannin? I don't know whether to be disappointed or worried that this guy is going to be teaching me, Naruto thought, and left the area. After Naruto got to the town square, he got himself to the tallest building and looked over the area. Okay, this place is pretty big, but there could only be a handful of places the target could set up a secret meeting, so I should start scouting the area for any enemies or the target himself, Naruto thought, and silently created 12 shadow clones who dashed off in different directions. Their orders already mentally given, and raced off to get their job done. After half an hour, Naruto decided to look around the town and explore, since his clones can do scouting themselves, and so he walked around the market district in a hench. He kept on walking and looking around in mild interest in all the foreign things he hadn't seen before, but stopped and looked at the direction of a melodious tone coming from a shop and started to walk towards it, and came to a sight of an old man playing a musical instrument which he didn't recognize. The old man kept on playing till he finished his tune, and then looked at Naruto and smiled. Well, looks like someone appreciates my music. Excuse me, sir, and what is that instrument you're playing? Asked Naruto, and the old man grinned. Well, my young friend, this is a flute, and my favorite among all the instruments, replied the old man as he pointed at all the different musical instruments in his store, and Naruto got fascinated as he looked around the store. Well, by the look on your face, I'd say that you're interested in buying one, the old man asked, and got a simple nodded by the still fascinated Naruto. Yes, I do, but I don't know which one to learn to play, since they all look very nice, Naruto asked, and was confused when the old man put his hand on his shoulder, and when he turned around, he was surprised when he saw the old man directing him to a row of different instruments. Well, I know how to play a little of everything in here, so how about I play each one a little, and you decide which one calls out to you, said the old man, and Naruto nodded dumbly, and after a while of the old man playing different instruments, Naruto decided that the flute was the one for him. Well, that's a pretty good choice, since you can play any type of tune, but I want to ask, why do you want to learn how to play an instrument? People would rather listen than play music, asked the old man, and Naruto waited for a few moments to answer the question. Well, how can I say it? In my village, there aren't a lot of musicians, and when I heard you play, the music soothed me, so I want to learn how to play it since it really relaxes me. But strangely, it also excites me, answered Naruto, a little confused at his own answer, and the old man nodded sagely. Yes, well, looks like you found your ninja quirk. Congratulations, by the way, the old man said, and Naruto, for his credit, didn't even flinch. And what makes you think I'm a ninja, sir? Asked Naruto with a hidden edge and got ready in case the man was an enemy, but the old man simply raised his arm in a surrendering motion. Relax, young man. I'm no ninja. I just know this because I've met many ninja in my time, and they've told me about their stories, and believe me, I know a ninja quirk when I see one. But I have to say yours is relatively normal compared to the others. The old man and Naruto relaxed a little, but still kept his guard up. Well, all right, then I'll buy this and be on my way, and you didn't see me, got it, old man? Asked Naruto with an edge to his voice, and the old man simply smiled. Well, all right then. That will be 5,000 Rio, and I'll give you an instruction manual, so you can start learning soon for free. And so Naruto got his flute, book, and left the area. Later, after Naruto got to a secluded area, he started reading his book since his shadow clones were still scouting, and he could catch a break. So playing flute for dummies, huh? After a few hours, his shadow clones dispersed themselves, and he got the memories and smirked. It looked like his clones found the merchant and followed him to the meeting area, and it was about to start in an hour, and it was more than enough time to get Jiraiya and head over there. After finding Jiraiya and telling him that he had found the target and the meeting area, he mentally smirked at the surprised and approving look Jiraiya gave him. So looks like the meeting is about to begin, Naruto said to Jiraiya as they both hid in the shadows and couldn't be detected thanks to Jiraiya's camouflage jutsu. Yeah, but let's hope this guy doesn't break the contract with Konoha, or else we'll have to kill him, Jiraiya said, and Naruto sighed since he never understood why people were so greedy and power-hungry when they didn't need it. After the meeting started and went underway, Naruto was disappointed to see that the merchant decided to side with IWA and would send tampered goods to Konoha, and just for money. Didn't he think of his actions? Wouldn't hundreds if not thousands of people die or suffer because of his greed, and for what? Some money? It all disgusted Naruto that this world was so corrupted, but he sighed and decided to end the mission by impaling the man with his lightning spear. The man's bodyguards were quickly taken care of by Jiraiya, but the 4 men from IWA used the opportunity to get away from the area, but Naruto and Jiraiya gave chase, and on the way decided to take the fight to outside the town since civilians could get injured in the crossfire. Forest outside of town. The chase ended after the IWA Jonin were forced to engage Jiraiya in the forest outside of the town. There were 4 Jonin and 3 of them charged and engaged Jiraiya while the other decided to take out Naruto, but was surprised when Naruto could match and keep up with him. Looks like you have some skill for a brat, but I have to help my friends fight the Sannin, so I'll be ending this fight, said the IWA Jonin as he took out a katana from his back and charged Naruto with the intent to decapitate him, but failed when his katana was blocked with Naruto's tanto. The Jonin quickly moved back and charged again, and his attacks were met with fierce counters which left very little openings and almost cut him multiple times. Damn it, I don't have enough time. Alright brat, let's see if you can match me now, said the irritated Jonin as he shouted Kai and then disappeared in a burst of speed. Naruto was surprised to see the man's speed increase dramatically, but was even more surprised that even his flash step couldn't help him get back the edge in the fight, and was forced to use his Sharingan to not get his head cut off. Oh, so you're from the Uchiha clan, huh? Well, even your eyes can't save you from my superior speed, kid, the man boasted, and Naruto mentally cursed his luck that he couldn't make his resistance seals before the mission, and now it was costing him. I have to make some distance between us and make up a plan, Naruto taught as he stepped a good step away from the man and went through hand seals and shot out his jutsu lightning release. Lightning bullet barrage, said Naruto as he fired 7 large lighting bullets from his mouth in different directions so the man couldn't charge from a different angle. It worked as he was able to make a good amount of distance from the Jonin, but was distracted from him when he heard a shout of Rasengan and saw that Jiraiya sent one of the Jonin hurtling back with a chakra sphere, and with his Sharingan, he was able to memorize the jutsu. Never take your eyes off your enemies, fool, said the Jonin as brought his katana in a sideways sweep to cut Naruto's head off. Shit, I have to stop him. Naruto roared in his head and his body moved on autopilot as he ducked and brought his right hand forward, which had an unstable spiraling sphere of chakra, and as he hit the Jonin, the man was sent hurtling back, but the damage was nowhere near the one Jiraiya had used. But before the man could counter, a lightning spear tore its way through his chest, thus ending his life. Naruto panted as he tried to calm down and get his nerves under control. Never before had he been near death like this, and it taught him that never to underestimate or keep his mind off his enemy. That was close. Damn it. I have to get stronger, Naruto thought as he clenched his right hand and sheathed his tanto. Damn kid, that was a close save. You alright? Asked Jiraiya as he approached Naruto since he finished off his opponents. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto said as he slowly calmed down. That's good, but how did you copy my Rasengan? No other Uchiha could do that, Jiraiya asked, surprised since he had seen Naruto perform the jutsu, even though it was incomplete. I don't know exactly, but I think since the Sharingan can see chakra and gives photographic memory, it can copy jutsu, and it can do that by copying the hand seals which control the chakra flow and makes it easier to use the jutsu by reducing the chakra control needed. Copying the jutsu also depends on the user's chakra control, so since the Rasengan is a really high-level chakra control jutsu, it makes it difficult for the Sharingan to copy it and makes the user think it can't be copied when it can be, but requires very high chakra control, and since I have it, I was able to partially copy it, but that's just my theory on it. And sorry I copied your jutsu. I didn't intended to, said Naruto as he apologized, and Jiraiya thought about the answer and sighed. Well, that sounds about right. Anyways, I guess I can teach you the jutsu since you have it down halfway already, but promise me you won't teach just anyone else, alright? Asked Jiraiya, and Naruto nodded grateful. He got the permission to learn and use the powerful jutsu. Good, but in exchange for me teaching you that jutsu, you have to help me around with my research around the village since it isn't in the Fuinjutsu field, said Jiraiya with a smirk, and Naruto agreed reluctantly and knew he was going to be in trouble later with some females. Since the mission is complete, we might as well get going, kid. Come on, I don't want to waste another second for my research, Jiraiya said with a perverted grin and dashed off towards Konoha, and Naruto shook his head. Man, things are definitely going to get very interesting for me in the future for me, I just know it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, was heard repeatedly by Naruto as he tried to process the situation he got himself into. Flashback. It has been almost 2 years since Naruto started his Fuinjutsu training with Jiraiya, and now the 9-year-old Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha is waiting anxiously sitting outside the Hokage's office. Naruto heard it come in from inside the office and entered, but was slightly surprised to see Jiraiya and Fugaku with the Hokage in his office. Jiraiya was smirking proudly, and Fugaku also had a small smile of pride on his face, and the Hokage was giving him an approving look. Well, damn kid. Looks like you broke all records with this one. Even I had doubts that you might pass, but you surpassed all expectations, said Jiraiya with a smirk, and Fugaku nodded. Then I asked Naruto, hurriedly waiting for the answer. Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha. I, the Hokage, after seeing your test scores, mission records, experience, and the recommendations from several experienced Jonin, have decided to promote you to the rank of Jonin. Congratulations, said the aged Hokage, and smirked at the surprised and happy look on the youngest Jonin's face. Thank you very much, Hokage-dano. I promise to do my best as a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village, said Naruto with determination and appreciation. Good. I expect nothing less from you, and I look forward to your future exploits. And lastly, since you have now gained the rank of Jonin, you are now allowed to make use of the Jonin training grounds, Jutsu Vault, and you now have the privilege to choose any mission that is below A class, said the Hokage, and smiled slightly at the happy grin on the young boy's face. Congratulations, Naruto. I am proud to say that such a talented young man is a part of my clan, and as a reward for being promoted, I grant you access to the secret Uchiha Jutsu vaults, said Fugaku proudly, and Naruto's grin widened at the prospect of being able to learn new jutsu. Looks like I'm the only one left to give you something for passing so here, said Jiraiya as he gave Naruto a scroll. What is it? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya smirked. That their kid is an Uzumaki sealing scroll I found around my travels. It can only be opened by an Uzumaki, so it's yours now. Naruto nodded thanks to the Sannin and excused himself from the office. Later, after a while of walking around the village, Naruto heard some shouts from one of the nearby training grounds and decided to see what the cause was and came to a sight that disgusted him. The training grounds around the village were mostly forests and full of trees, so it was no surprise that a lot of animals lived there, but that aside, civilians weren't allowed in the training grounds since it was reserved only for ninja. But there in the clearing of the training field was a group of about 7 civilians kicking around a golden fox with twin tails around. Keep on kicking this QB spawn, guys. Come on, we have to make sure it doesn't live another day, said one of the civilians, and the others readily agreed and kept on beating up the bloodied animal around. The civilians were about to continue until a force that felt like 15 pounds was just dropped on their heads, and a feeling of dread and despair washed over them. Images of their deaths in multiple painful ways was played in their eyes, and when they turned around they were met with blood-red eyes with 3 tomos spinning wildly in them. Get lost, said Naruto ominously, and the civilians ran like their asses were on fire. Naruto sighed and closed his eyes and slowly walked towards the injured fox. The fox whimpered and tried uselessly to get away from Naruto, but failed, and Naruto slowly knelt down to the fox. Look, I know you just got hurt by humans and don't want to trust me, but please do, because I don't mean you any harm, and I'm going to heal your wounds. As he said that, he went through a few hand seals, and his hands started to glow with green chakra, and as he brought his hands over the wounds, they started to heal, and after 10 minutes, all the wounds on the fox were healed. The small fox was very surprised by the kind human's actions, and after Naruto was done, it looked at him and saw him smile. They're all done. I know humans just hurt you, but I hope you don't hate all of us because of just a few retarded ones. And the fox's eyes grew wide a little at the words of the kind human. Well, all right then. You should probably get going now, Naruto said, but was surprised when the fox jumped at him and started saying thank you repeatedly. Flashback end. Naruto was confused, since he had never met any talking animals before. Sure, he heard about talking ninja summons, but meeting one was very different. Yeah, it's fine, so do you mind getting off me? Asked Naruto, and the small fox slowly climbed down and rubbed the back of its head with its tail. Hee hee, sorry about that. It's just that I thought I was a goner back there, and then you came and saved me. So I'm really grateful since I didn't want to die on my first visit here. Even though I kind of sneaked off, said the fox sheepishly, and Naruto's sweat dropped. Do you mind telling me who and what exactly you are? Naruto asked, and the fox puffed up its chest. My name is Hitomi, and I'm a kitsune yokai, said the fox with pride, and Naruto raised an eyebrow in interest. And what is a kitsune yokai? Well, my clan is a class of demons that resembles foxes, and we are very strong physically and have high aptitude for illusions and magic, the fox explained, and Naruto was confused at the magic part. Magic? Do you mind explaining that to me? Well, it's sort of similar to what ninjas use like chakra, but we only use spiritual energy, which makes it easier to control and versatile, but it's less potent compared to chakra, Hitomi explained. What do you mean by less potent? Basically, if you make a fireball from chakra and one from just spiritual energy and fire them at each other, then the chakra one wins, because it's a lot more potent. Got it? Hitomi asked, and Naruto nodded. That's pretty interesting. Well, anyways, that aside, why are you here in the first place? And you said something about sneaking off. Hitomi rubbed the back of her head sheepishly with her tails and answered, well, my kind, or rather yokai in general, aren't allowed to come here. But I was curious, so I kind of sneaked off to see what this place is like. Hitomi explained, and sweat dropped when she saw Naruto staring at her pointedly. What? My kind is very curious, you know. Naruto sighed. That's fine, but you should have taken someone strong with you to protect you. If it wasn't for me then, you could have died. Hitomi huffed in annoyance. Excuse me, but I'm pretty strong just so you know. The only reason those pathetic people could beat me up was because I was exhausted after using my magic to open a portal here. A portal. Well, it's sort of like the summoning thing you ninjas do, but without the smoke. Basically, we find a place we want to go to, so we use our magic to teleport us there. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea of it, Hitomi explained, and Naruto decided to ask about the portal later. Bye for now. Okay, so why are Yukai not allowed in the elemental nations? I don't know the whole history of it, but it's something of an agreement between all Yukai that without a contract between specific humans and Yukai, we aren't allowed to come here. Right now, the yokai I know of that have contracts with humans are the toad, snake, and slug Yukai, though they are pretty low class, and the summoning contract is how they are summoned, by the way. Wait, so you're telling me that the ninja summons the Sannin have are Yukai, and that they are low class? I don't know who the Sannin are, but if you're talking about those talking giant toads, and the other two, then yeah, we are on the same page. Okay, so what now? Asked Naruto after a moment of silence, so he could process the information he was given. Uh, I know that you saved me and all, but I'd really appreciate it if you show around your village a little, since I've never seen a human one before, and all this trip would be useless if I don't even see any good places, Hitomi requested, and Naruto decided to help the fox. Later, after giving Hitomi the tour of the village while keeping to the rooftops, since the village populace had a real dislike for foxes, Naruto decided to take a break in one of the empty parks. While I didn't think a human village would be like this, it's definitely a lot different than my village, said the happy fox, and Naruto smiled. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your tour. So now are you going to go home? Naruto asked, and Hitomi fidgeted nervously. I don't mind, but hey Naruto, I was thinking. Well, I really like this place, and I'm sure my clan would like this place too, but we can't come here without a contract. So will you make a summoning contract with my clan? Hitomi asked nervously, and while Naruto was surprised at the offer, he also had doubts and questions about making the summoning contract. While I appreciate the offer, I don't understand that. Why me though, and why even make a contract with a ninja? You do know that we ninjas do many things that are not honorable, and we occasionally have wars or something similar on a smaller scale, so why? Hitomi smirked. It's pretty simple. You see, Yukai have made a pact to not have wars between ourselves, but we haven't made any rules about helping humans fight. So by fighting humans, or other Yukai by proxy, we sate our lust for battle. While Yukai have different species and beliefs, one thing we all have in common is the lust for battle, and besides, what did you think the other ninja summons make contracts? We don't do it just out of being nice, finished Hitomi with a bloodthirsty grin, and Naruto's sweat dropped. Come to think of it, I've never heard of why ninja summons make contracts in the first place, even when they don't have to, so that's why, huh? Guess that's one mystery solved, since it does make sense. Summons are almost always used in large-scale battles. All of this aside, I need to think of the pros and cons of this contract. If I make the contract, then I get fox summons, and I might even get special jutsu or knowledge they might have. But the cons are that a lot of people in Konoha will be scared of me of having fox summons because of QB if words gets out, and other villages might target me for my contract. But in the end, I guess it's worth, so might as well make the contract, thought Naruto seriously, and made his decision and agreed to the contract. Great. But there is a slight complication though, Hitomi said, and Naruto got curious. And what would that be? Naruto asked, and Hitomi laughed a bit awkwardly. Well, you kind of have to make the clan head accept you as our summoner, and while she isn't very easy to impress. Okay, so will I have to pass a test? More like she will stare at you for a minute and decide whether you're worth her time or not. Okay, I think I can handle that. Naruto said, a bit confused as to how the clan head would test him by just staring at him, but shrugged it off since he guessed Yukai had different ways than humans. Alright, that's the spirit. Now, since I now have enough Yuki to send a signal to my mom, she can come here and test you. Hitomi said energetically and started to use her Yuki, and it was a visible violet color, and a Yuki-made seal appeared beneath her paws for a few seconds before it vanished, and a minute of silence later. A puff of smoke formed, and when it dissipated, a six-tailed golden fox, 3 times the size of a tiger, appeared and glared at Naruto and Hitomi. Now then, Hitomi, will you tell me where did you run off to, and who is this human? Asked the giant fox with a tone that meant complete business, and Naruto found himself being nervous a little. Well, it's a long story, Mom. Hitomi said awkwardly. I have time, so explain yourself, answered the fox, and Hitomi explained her situation of how she came to the human realm and how she was attacked by dumb humans. But Naruto quickly saved and healed her and gave her a tour of his village as well, and after she was finished she got scolded for a good 15 minutes on her stupidity and that she will never get to visit again if she ever did it again. And after the fox was done lecturing Hitomi, she turned her attention at Naruto. First of all, I want to thank you for saving my daughter, and secondly, I will introduce myself. I am Hikari, clan head of the Kitsune clan. Hikari said in a regal manner fit only for royalty. Think nothing of it, Hikari Dano. Naruto replied respectfully, and Hikari smirked a bit at his polite but confident voice. It was very rare to find a human that didn't piss their pants or stutter in front of her, and that was something. Now then, Hitomi here tells me you want to make a summoning contract with our clan? Yes, I would greatly appreciate it if you would make me your summoner, Naruto said with determination, and Hikari smiled a bit at his attitude. Well, let's see if you're worthy or not, Hikari said, and as she narrowed her eyes at Naruto, and Naruto himself felt as if she was staring at his soul, but didn't show any fear. After a minute, Hikari asked, All right, flare your chakra a little. Naruto simply nodded and did as he was told since it was probably part of the test, and as he flared his chakra, a sky blue cloak covered his body in the shape of lightning, just like the Super Saiyan aura in DBZ, though Naruto's is sky blue. Hikari's eyebrows shot up in surprise at the amazingly strong and dense chakra the young boy was flaring. Amazing. I've never seen chakra this dense or strong from a human. Even most strong yokai don't have yuki this strong. An even more amazing fact is that it seems to be growing stronger. This human is definitely special and different from all the rest, thought Hikari calculatingly. All right, that's enough. I have made my decision. You are acceptable to become our summoner, said Hikari, and Naruto stopped immediately in surprise at the statement. That's it. You don't even know my name, my motives, or the village I'm from, and yet you will accept me as your summoner so easily. Naruto asked in shock since he couldn't believe his luck or the absurdity of the situation since first what was just a walk turned into him getting summons. We don't care about your heritage, village, or goals. What we look in a summoner is someone who is a strong person both physically and spiritually and stays loyal to us and gives us the opportunity for battle and prove ourselves. You have proven yourself to be more that worthy. How did you find me to be worthy by just staring at me? Naruto asked perplexed. Eyes are the windows to the soul, young man, and I saw that you have a very strong one, Hikari said wisely. And I went through your memories, and I have to admit you are a very strong individual, Naruto Uchiha, and you will continue to grow stronger, thought Hikari, and breathed a stream of fire from her mouth. And as the flames disappeared, there at the ground was a large-sized crimson-colored scroll with a blue flame design on it. This is our summoning scroll. Sign your name on it with your blood and make your print on it as well, and you will become our summoner, Hikari said, and Hitomi jumped in joy for Naruto succeeding, and Naruto himself smiled. After he finished writing his name and making his handprint, Hikari checked the scroll and nodded, and the scroll disappeared in a puff of smoke. Very well then, from this day, Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, you are our summoner and will have our aid. Also, on a side note, I will be summoning you sometime later to our realm, so we can teach you some of our skills and techniques, Hikari said, and Naruto smirked at the prospect of learning new techniques and jutsu. It was one of his favorite things after all. All right, I knew that you could pass Mom's test and become our summoner. It's great that we finally have a summoner, and a nice and strong one at that. Hitomi exclaimed, and Naruto raised an eyebrow in surprise. Your clan never had a summoner before? No, you will be the first summoner, and I hope you spread the name and might of our clan to all the elemental nations and summon realms, said Hikari, and Naruto nodded with determination. Hey Mom, will it be okay if I be Naruto's regular summon? Please, I promise I won't cause problems for him, begged Hitomi, and Hikari looked at Naruto. Will you accept her as your partner? I may not know her skills or fighting style, but I have a feeling we can get along and be a good team, so yes, Naruto said, and Hitomi jumped and hugged him in joy while Hikari nodded impressed at Naruto's intelligence. I guess I'm a summoner from today, Naruto said with pride and excitement as he looked at the happy Hitomi jumping around, and the smiling Hikari. Later. So let me get this right. Not only did you get promoted to Jonin and are now the youngest Jonin in the history of Konoha, but you also got the fox summoning contract on the very same day, deadpanned Itachi as he looked at Naruto, who was calmly sitting on a cushion, drinking some pineapple juice and nodded. Damn, said Shursui as he looked at Naruto and felt a little envious of the prodigious Uchiha, but felt a little happy as well at the fact that he was from his own clan and wasn't arrogant about his success or skill. Shursui was also an Uchiha and was around the same age as Naruto and Itachi. He was a Chunin same as Itachi and was also considered a prodigy. Shursui and Itachi were friends first, and later he met Naruto a little after the Chunin exams, and both became good friends after a while, and later the duo of Naruto and Itachi became trio with Shursui with them, and the young boys hung around most of the time whenever they were free. While Naruto and Itachi were friendly rivals, Itachi and Shursui were best friends since they both had a lot in common since both were pacifists by nature and greatly loved the village and the clan, so they got along pretty well. While Naruto was different since he loved to train, fight, and challenge himself, and only held love for the clan, since he considered all of the clan his family, but was neutral to everyone else. So Naruto, any other amazing feats we should know about? Shursui asked after he took a sip from his tea as the three boys were relaxing near a pond in the Uchiha district. And just as Shursui finished his question, a kunai hit the ground a meter away from the boys, and the three prepared themselves for battle, but when they saw the Konoha insignia on the scroll attached to the scroll and the ANBU standing on the tree looking expectantly at them, they relaxed their guard a little. Might as well see what's inside, said Naruto as he picked up the scroll and read the content inside. So what is it? Asked Shursui, and Naruto tossed him the scroll. Does that answer your question? Naruto asked with sarcasm. Shursui read the scroll and his eyes widened in surprise. What's so surprising, Shursui? Asked Itachi as he peered from Shursui's shoulder and looked at the scroll himself, and his eyes widened comically in surprise as well. Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, you are formally invited to join the elite ANBU Corps of Konohagakure no Sato. You have 72 hours to accept or decline the offer, said the ANBU as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Damn, I'm just full of surprises today, aren't I? Naruto said with a smirk, and both Itachi and Shursui sweat dropped at that. Now we can add unpredictable to his personality as well, I suppose, Itachi said with a deadpan. So are you going to join the ENBU? Shursui asked. Why not? Asked Naruto with a smirk. Snow is falling in the village hidden in the leaves, a rare event since it doesn't usually snow in Konoha, and most of the populace of the village are grateful since it's a nice break from the constant heat or humid temperature the village usually has. The forests around and inside the village are completely covered in white from all the snow, and all the trees have lost their leaves due to the season, and even the ninja are grateful since there would be less trouble locating any spies trying to infiltrate the village. All in all, most of the village were happy from the great blessing of snow in their village, well, except for one specific and special person who was silently cursing the snow for falling in the damn Fire Nation of all places. A child can be seen walking through the busy and cold streets of Konoha, a little blonde girl probably the age of 5, but was pretty short and petite for her age. The girl has the most beautiful golden-colored hair tied in a messy twin tails, with a heart-shaped face, ocean blue eyes, and 3 distinct whiskers like marks on her cheeks. As for her clothes, she was wearing worn-out dark blue pants and a red long-sleeved shirt with blue sandals. Pretty light clothing for someone to wear when it was freezing, but looking at the worn-out state of her clothes, it wouldn't take a genius to guess that she probably can't afford anything better. The little girl, despite her clothes and weak state, probably due to having nothing to eat, can still be considered to have an unnatural beauty that no other child could have. Even a royal princess couldn't hope to match up to the little girl's looks, and while many would think that people would want to help such a beautiful little girl, or at least sympathize with her, but anywhere she would go, she was met with hateful glares. The little girl sighed as she saw one of the food store owners glare at her. Looks like I'm going to bed without diner. Again, I might as well find a warm place to sleep for tonight, said the blonde as she slowly made her way through the crowds. Good riddance. It's a good thing that demon didn't touch any of my merchandise. Probably would have poisoned all of it, said the merchant when he thought the girl was out of earshot. No one noticed the little girl flinch at the remark due to her enhanced senses and get a little tear-eyed at the insult and started to run to get away from the area as fast as possible. Forest outside of Konoha. Jumping from branch to branch of trees in a complete Konoha ENBU uniform is a young man with spiky raven black hair. Naruto's hair looks same as Shippuden, except he doesn't wear the headband on his forehead, so his bangs on front fall down. He is 5 feet and 3 inches tall with a body that can clearly be seen that is built for balance and speed and power. Naruto's body looks the same as Gohan in the Cell games, which is pretty badass for a 9-year-old. His face is hidden by a fox mask, and the only difference in his uniform from the other ANBU is the tanto sheathed on his back just above his weapon pouches. His posture and movement shows that he's moving casually without much effort, but to anyone else's eyes he's nothing but a blur that can easily be missed. Alright, I can make it to the Hokage's office by 9 p.m., which is pretty good time. Man, I can't wait to eat the feast Mikoto Obasan has made. There won't be any left for Itachi or Shursui by the time I'm done, and the look on their faces will be priceless, thought Naruto with a smirk, and his mouth watered a little at the thought of the delicious food. He was going to have a feast for dinner tonight. It has been 2 years since Naruto's promotion to Jonin, his joining of ANBU, and him getting the fox summoning contract. While Naruto changed greatly physically, now having a body of an Adonis according to Mikoto, but his greatest change would be in his skill set. After getting promoted to Jonin and joining ANBU, he got access to both the Jutsu Vaults, and Naruto had to admit that Konoha had an amazing amount of Tai, Nin, Jin, and Kenjutsu scrolls available to its elite ninja, but he was disappointed to see that most ninja relied on the jutsu they were taught by their sensei, and very few ever worked an extra mile to learn something new or improve themselves more. He guessed that there was a reason ninja like Minato Namikaze, Tsukumo Hatake, and Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had no Kekai Genkai, became legends without them. They used every resource they had to improve themselves beyond their limits and learned everything that they could get their hands on and never stopped improving themselves. Sadly, most ninja, when they reach the rank of Jonin, stop improving themselves thinking that they're on top of the food chain and only train to keep themselves in shape, which is probably the reason why there aren't many S-rank ninjas. Naruto, however, is far different than any ninja. Using his Sharingan and Uzumaki heritage to the fullest, he got himself to almost Kaga level in Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, Jinjutsu, Kenjutsu, and became a master in the sealing arts, which still shocks Jiraiya to this day at the rate he mastered the art, which was faster than even the famous Minato Namikaze. He got himself to ANBU level in the other arts like medical, stealth, espionage, sensing. All in all, he was pretty proud of himself for getting to his level at the age of 11 and promised himself to keep on improving. Alright, need to speed up if I want to get done with this mission, though I wonder what mission Itachi and Shursui got. Naruto thought about his friends who had also joined the ANBU Corps a year after he joined and were doing pretty good in their missions. After Naruto became ANBU, he had less time to spend with his friends since almost all of his time was spent with either Jiraiya, the Foxes, or training and doing missions with ANBU, but after Itachi and Shursui also joined him, the boys got to spend more time with each other and have fun. There is no better manly bonding than killing enemy ninja together, thought Naruto sagely and slightly with insanity as he thought about all the missions he did with his friends. Being trained to kill at the age of 4 doesn't exactly leave a person normal by any means. Later. Alright, now that my report is given and I'm free, time to get me some food, though Naruto hungrily as left the Hokage's office after giving his report and getting his payment, he started to jump from rooftop to rooftop. After a few minutes of roof hopping, Naruto suddenly stopped. Wait, is that Yuki? But there aren't any foxes I've summoned, and Jiraiya isn't in the village either. Then who could it be? The signature is way too small to notice. I doubt anyone would notice it since most ninja aren't familiar with it and would probably ignore if they sense it, but I should definitely check it out, Naruto thought with a little worry and quickly made his way to the signature's location. Naruto's POV. It was cold. No, it was freezing, and the cardboard box she was sitting inside wasn't helping her any against the damn wind, which was making her feel numb. Why me? Thought Naruto sadly as she thought over her short life. Her life wasn't easy since she was born on the day of the QB attack and was an orphan. The orphanage she grew up in until recently barely took care of her and always gave her the last and worst of everything, be it clothes or food. It didn't help that the matron of the orphanage didn't like her much and made the other kids stay away from her. Though she thought it could have been worse, at least they didn't beat her up or starve her. Though now she hated the matron since she kicked her out, saying there wasn't enough space in the orphanage for her, and she was old enough to take care of herself and let her fend for herself with just the clothes on her back. The villagers or ninjas weren't very nice either, since the civilians hated her and glared at her all the time and called her a demon or monster when they thought she wasn't listening, and didn't sell her anything even she had some money, while the ninja were really scared of her and always stayed away from her. Everywhere she went, people would send her scared or hateful looks. Was she really a demon? She didn't remember doing anything bad, then why did people treat her differently? Any other kid her age she saw were always treated kindly with love, but why not her? Was she different than the others? Naruto shivered as another cold wind hit her body and her arms and legs started to feel completely numb, but she tried to keep herself warm and awake and tried miserably to ignore the hunger she was feeling. Will I always be alone and hated like this? Naruto, though, as tears formed in her eyes, and she tried to fight back the tears and sniffled. Normal POV. Following the Yuki signal, Naruto found himself in front of an empty and dirty street. Well, almost empty, since there inside one of the cardboard boxes seemed to be a shivering child of 5 years old, and Naruto decided to see who it was, but he already had an idea as to who it was, since no normal human could have Yuki, and there was only one person in the entire village with the ability to have Yuki and be the same age. As Naruto came in front of the little girl and finally saw her, he found himself dumbstruck at the sight in front. In front of him was a little girl with golden blonde hair, ocean blue eyes, a heart-shaped face with whisker marks on her face, and a petite figure with light-tanned skin. The tears formed in her eyes, and the sad expression on her face made his heart melt and made him want to brutally, slowly and painfully torture whoever hurt her before killing them. The girl looked like an angel, and her state made him feel depressed since he was also an orphan without anyone to look after him or help him. What is the Jinchuriki doing here? Shouldn't the village take care of her, since the fourth Hokage asked for her to be seen as a hero? But even if he hadn't asked for her to be treated nicely, she needs to be closely watched and taught properly about her powers so she doesn't hurt herself or anybody else by accident. What the hell is the Hokage thinking? And judging by the looks of her clothes and body, she hasn't been eating good food or had proper supervision. Looks like me and Itachi were stupid about the people letting go of their hatred for the fox. Seriously, can't they see that they're just hurting an innocent kid? Seriously, they're worse than my own clan, and my clan is freaking cursed with the curse of hatred, thought Naruto with anger and disgust, but decided to hold those thoughts for later and help the girl in front of him. Hey, are you alright? A dumb question, Naruto thought, but was probably the best one to start with, and the little girl finally noticed his presence as she looked up at him, and her eyes widened a little. Who are you? Asked the girl nervously, and Naruto internally sighed, since any kid would be nervous if an ANBU approached them, but decided to quickly finish this conversation and help the girl as fast as possible. You can call me Fox. I'm an ANBU and I saw you here, so I wanted to ask, what are you doing here and not the orphanage? Naruto asked without his monotony ANBU voice, since it had probably helped the little girl relax a little. Naruto fidgeted a bit before answering. They kicked me out because there wasn't any place for me to stay there, so I've been living by myself, Naruto answered, and Naruto quickly decided that if he couldn't kill that evil matron, then he would at least break her mind with his most horrifying jinjutsu. How long have you been living by yourself? A week now, Naruto answered, and saw the fox ANBU stiffen a bit, but didn't know why. Naruto, for the life of him, couldn't understand why he was feeling so angry. Sure, he had seen worse things done, but seeing this little girl suffering in front of him made him almost lose his control, but quickly brought his emotions under control and calmed down. It wouldn't help if he blew his gasket in front of the little girl and scare her. Okay, I have two options here. One is to take her to the Hokage and let him deal with her, or I could take her with me to the Uchiha district and help her myself. I already have a spare room and can more than afford to help her, but why do I want to help her? It's not like she's my responsibility or anything, but then why? Naruto thought perplexed at his own emotions, but decided to do what his heart told him and help the girl himself since he doubted that the Hokage wouldn't know the status of the Jinchuriki. So either he doesn't care or he allowed this himself, so it wouldn't be much help if he took her to the Hokage. Well, if you want, you can come with me. I have a spare room in my apartment that you can use, and it's a lot better than this cardboard box, huh? Naruto asked and gained a surprised, nervous, and scared look from the blonde. Naruto was shocked at the kind and generous offer, but was also scared since no one was ever nice to her, and it made her suspicious of what the ANBU really wanted, so she asked her question, "Why would you let me live with you?" Naruto smiled behind his mask at the girl. "Because I see a little girl who needs help and I want to help, so that's why. And besides, isn't it common sense to help someone if you can?" Naruto answered, but lied a bit at the end since there weren't many people in the elemental nations who would freely help anyone just out of the goodness of their heart, but the girl didn't know that yet. Now Naruto was thrown for a loop at the words of the ANBU since no one had ever helped her before, but maybe this ANBU is different? But I'm not normal. Everyone calls me a demon. Why would you want to help a demon? Naruto asked sadly but was surprised when she heard the ANBU chuckle. Whoever said that you're a demon should get their eyes checked, because the girl I see in front of me is definitely an angel, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Naruto's eyes widened at the compliment, and she blushed. Naruto continued to nervously fidget, and Naruto decided to help her calm down and make her decision. "How about this? I'll show you my face. Since it's against the rules to show my face to anyone, I'll get in big trouble if you tell anyone who I am." Naruto looked surprised at the ANBU's statement, "But why would you do that?" "Consider this as my show of trust. I'll trust you with my identity, and in turn you can trust me, deal?" The ANBU asked, and Naruto thought about it. The ANBU was willing to give her his identity, which was strictly forbidden to her, just to gain her trust. So maybe the ANBU was completely sincere about helping her, so, with a little nervousness, Naruto nodded, and the ANBU slowly took off his mask. As the ANBU took off his mask and showed his handsome face, Naruto blushed a bit at his roughish handsome looks, but was greatly surprised at the sincere smile he was giving her, and she felt her heart warm up at the show of positive and warm look he was giving her. "I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm Naruto Uchiha, nice to meet you." Naruto was greatly surprised at the name similar to hers, but after a moment quickly introduced herself with a great smile. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you too." Naruto blinked at the name similarity, but decided to get rid of it, and later find out about her origins since her chakra was definitely that of an Uzumaki, which already made her a distant relative. "What do you know? We have pretty similar names. How about you call me Fox from now on so we don't mix up our own names," Fox said with a chuckle as he put his mask back on, and Naruto nodded with a small smile. "Okay," Naruto answered energetically despite the cold and hunger gnawing at her. "Well, then we should get going then. Come on, grab my hand," Fox said as he held his right hand towards Naruto, who slowly grabbed it. "Get ready. I'm going to use a jutsu to get us to our destination faster," Fox said, and Naruto nodded, and both disappeared in a bolt of lightning. Uchiha District, Itachi's house. Both Fox and Naruto appeared in a bolt of lightning in the Uchiha District and in front of Itachi's house. "Wow, that was so cool. How did you do that?" Naruto asked with excitement, and Fox chuckled. "It's a jutsu for fast movement," Fox answered, and Naruto quickly asked if he would teach it to her, but was surprised when he agreed to do it later when she was ready. Both Fox and Naruto entered the house and were greeted by Mikoto, who was surprised at seeing Naruto, and later after Fox explained the situation in private to her, she smiled warmly at him and told him that ask whenever he needed help. After Fox changed to his normal clothes by activating a seal on his body to switch his gear, Fox and Naruto both went to the dining and saw Itachi and Shursui already waiting for Fox there. "What are you guys doing here so early?" Fox asked, surprised. "You didn't think we were going to let you eat all the food like the last time, were you?" Shursui asked, and Fox chuckled awkwardly, and Mikoto got them to all to settle down and eat since Fugaku and Sasuke weren't going to join them. After Naruto introduced herself to Itachi and Shursui, which surprised both the boys since they knew about her status as Jinchuriki and decided to later ask Naruto about what was she doing with him. After introductions were done, Everyone began to eat, but all were left dumbfounded when Naruto ate more than the amount, even what Fox usually eats, while Fox chuckled at her eating habits. "Well, young man, I hope you haven't taken a mission for tomorrow because we are going shopping," Mikoto said sternly to Naruto, who quickly looked at her with fear and asked, "Wait, why do we have to go shopping, Obasan?" Mikoto smiled sweetly. "Since you've taken it upon yourself to help that girl, it's your responsibility now to make sure that all her needs are met. One of which is clothes, and we are going to go tomorrow to get all her clothes since she doesn't seem to have any other clothes." Naruto asked with a nervous smile, "Will it be okay if I just give you my wallet and you buy everything she needs?" Mikoto shook her head with a smirk. "Oh no, you're not getting out of this one. We are going shopping tomorrow, and you are coming whether you like it or not," Mikoto finished with a threatening tone, and Naruto gulped and sighed since there was no winning any battles against Itachi's mom. "All right," Naruto said defeated, but when he saw Naruto talking happily with his friends and smiling a real smile, he found himself smiling as well. It looked like her smile was contagious. "Are you serious about helping her? You will have to answer to the Hokage, and other clan heads may also raise problems for you. Is it worth it?" Mikoto asked seriously, and Naruto looked at her with a look of complete determination. "I know, and I don't care. When I first found her in the alley today, I could have ignored her or just given her to the Hokage, but I couldn't. It just didn't feel right, so I've made up my mind I will help her. Doesn't matter who might not want me to or try to stop me. I will help and protect her. And that's my promise of a lifetime," finished Naruto with such passion and determination that Mikoto felt that she wasn't listening to an 11-year-old boy, but rather the Hokage. Mikoto smiled at the young man as he finished. "Then I don't have to worry about anything. I know that you will be able to protect her. Now go and get going. You want to show her your apartment to right?" Mikoto asked, and Naruto nodded and left after saying goodbye. After Naruto left, Mikoto sighed sadly. "Looks like daughter is in good hands. Kushina. Even ENBU training can't compare to this torture. How many stores did we go to? I lost count after the 30th. Seriously, it's just clothes. How many more stores are we going to go to?" thought Naruto in exhaustion and irritation, while carrying 12 bags full of different items, and followed Mikoto, who was dragging him and Naruto around the village shopping for clothing and other everyday items. After the night when Naruto found Naruto and brought her in, and both had dinner at Itachi's house, and later Naruto showed the young blonde his apartment and gave her his spare room, both Uzumaki were dragged by a happy and energetic Mikoto the next morning for shopping the next morning before they could even get some breakfast. While Naruto was expecting some store owners to try and kick Naruto out, he was mildly surprised that no one tried and even acted civilly with her even though it was forced. He suspected that the respect and restraint was either due to Mikoto being the wife of the Uchiha clan head or his fearsome reputation, which he got for his extremely brutal and quick kills. Seriously, he did not rip off his enemy's spinal cords for fun. That was a one-time thing. "All right, Naruto, good news. We only have pajamas left to buy, and then we can go home, so cheer up," Mikoto said after seeing the irritated and exhausted state of the young ANBU, and decided to finish her shopping spree for today. "Thank God," yelled Naruto in his head, but simply responded with a "take your time" to Mikoto and Naruto with a smile, which made both the females happy. After going to the final store, which had many pajamas and other clothes, Naruto simply sat on one of the chairs there and waited for the girls to finish their choosing and be done so he could finally leave. "All right, try this one on, Naruto-chan, and show me how it looks," said Mikoto. Said she handed Naruto a pair of pajamas and shoved her inside a changing room. After changing, Naruto came out, and Mikoto squealed at the sight of her clothes and took her in front of Naruto. "What do you think, Naruto-kun? Doesn't she look absolutely adorable?" asked a giddy Mikoto as she looked at Naruto for his response. When Naruto looked at the young blonde little girl in her orange pajamas, which seemed to be a little big for her, and the orange bunny nightcap on top of her head, he had to stop himself from shouting cute, but he controlled himself and smiled at the blonde. "You look really cute in that, Naruto, but do you like it?" Naruto blushed at compliment, while whenever Mikoto praised or complimented her, she felt happy or proud, but it was completely different whenever her savior would do it. She would always blush when he smiled warmly at her or compliment her, since that smile of his could make anyone feel warm inside, because it was probably the epitome of true smiles, at least in her mind. "Why, yeah, it's really nice and comfy. I think I'll take it," replied the blushing blonde, and Naruto smiled and internally thanked heaven for his torture finally ending. "All right, then looks like our shopping for today is done," said a happy Makoto, and the three left for the Uchiha clan after paying for the clothes. Later. "So are you in the mood for some fried rice with chicken and some fish?" asked Naruto as he slightly turned to look at Naruko, who changed from her rags and was now wearing short blue jeans that reached her knees and a dark red t-shirt with a blue star design on the front of the shirt. "Yeah. Do you need any help with anything?" asked Naruko as she looked at the young ANBU cooking with a white cook apron on. "Hmm. No, it's all right. I'm almost finished here and the table is set, so just sit down, but thanks anyways," replied Naruto as he continued to cook, but after a few moments felt someone watching him intently, and as he turned his head around a little and saw that Naruko was staring at him intently, as though expecting him to say something, and Naruto's sweat dropped at the look. Yep, it's official. Every female wants a compliment after they get new clothes, even 5-year-olds. Well, at least I learned one new thing about the female gender, that they love clothes and getting showered with praises for their looks. Meh, at least she does look a little cute in those clothes, thought the sweat dropping ANBU as he looked at the young blonde, silently demanding a statement from him. "Oh, nice clothes, Naruko. They look good on you and red suits you," said the ANBU, and further sweat dropped as the young blonde smiled and turned around and started to pass the time with her chopsticks. "Having nice things said to feels nice. I wish others treated me this kindly," thought the depressed young blonde, since everyone around the village either glared at her or ignored her. She couldn't remember anyone praising her. Hell, she doesn't remember anyone even smiling at her. Her savior, his friends, and Makoto were the first people to treat her normally and kindly. She didn't know if she just liked being praised generally or it was because her savior did it, but she felt like someone important whenever he would do it. Later. After having lunch, Naruto decided to give his blonde guest a tour around the Uchiha district so that she may know her way around, and proceeded to show her around. Naruko couldn't believe her eyes, since wherever she would go, people would either look at her with respect, while some people even smiled at her. She couldn't believe a place like this existed in the village, damn it. She definitely would have come here sooner if she knew. While Naruto was smiling slightly at his clansmen, since unlike other clans or people, the Uchiha clan respected power and those who had pride. While the young blonde doesn't necessarily have her own power per se, she does have the ability to hold the QB, and that earns her respect among his clan, while others sympathize with her since they already know the truth and aren't ignorant. "This is the where the local stores are, so you can buy anything you may need from here when I'm not around," the young ANBU said as he pointed at the different stores inside the clan district, and the little blonde nodded dumbly as she took in the sights and the people with amazement, since it was pretty amazing for someone who got glared at most of the time from complete strangers to not get glared in an area inside the same village. "After we finish this tour, we should go to Itachi's house, since I have some things to discuss with him, and you can meet his little brother. You're both the same age, I think," Naruto said as he and Naruko both continued on their way. Later. "Come on, Itachi, it couldn't have been that bad. I mean, seriously, you got laid for free," Naruto said as tried to console his depressed rival. "My first time, and I had S&M, and she made me go another round," said Itachi with a hollow voice as a dark cloud hung over his head. "Okay, that might have been a little extreme for your first time," said Naruto awkwardly, since he didn't think Itachi would get a sadist for his seduction training. "I got a C grade for my performance in seduction training, so I have to take extra classes, but what I don't get is how the hell you got an S grade on your first try in seduction training. You couldn't have done it before since you're more busy than me," said an irritated and confused Itachi, since he couldn't fathom the thought of anyone getting the coveted and legendary S grade in the seduction arts, which only one person before had gotten, and no one could get one on their first try, or ever, and having his rival, who is a preteen, get it was a major blow to a lot of ANBU. Well, I sort of had private lessons from my summons. Well, a lot of lessons in seduction and other kitsune arts, so it was pretty easy, Naruto replied sheepishly, since he had lost his virginity some time ago to his summons, well, the summon boss in particular. "You were telling me that you had something with foxes?" asked a slightly disgusted Itachi. "They aren't normal foxes, Itachi. They are yokai, and they have human forms," Very attractive human forms. Very amazing human forms. Naruto quickly replied before his rival would think something really stupid about his taste in women, but slowed down in the end of his statement. You're drooling, Naruto, Itachi said with a deadpan and internally couldn't believe his rival's luck since Naruto was never easily impressed with anything, and if his fox summons were that good-looking in human form, then they must definitely amazing. Oh thanks, Naruto said awkwardly as he wiped the drool from his mouth and pushed away the perverted thoughts about his summons. Jiraiya really is a super pervert if he can corrupt me this much, but then again everyone is perverted. Most just hide it better, thought Naruto about his perverted but strong Fuinjutsu teacher. Well, our personal matters aside, let's see what those two are arguing about, Itachi said as he got up and walked towards Naruto and Sasuke, who were arguing loudly in the garden. And I'm telling you that fox is way stronger than your girly-looking brother, Duck, but Naruto said as she glared at the young Uchiha, who was the same age as her. Please, my big brother can kick Naruto's, but all the way to Kumo, you dumb blonde, Sasuke said back as he glared at Naruto. What's this arguing about who is stronger over here? Asked Naruto as he looked at the arguing kids, and had stopped himself again from shouting cute at the angry, pouting face Naruto was making. Itachi had to bite his lip from mouthing cute at seeing the young blonde Jinchuriki and his little brother making cute, angry faces, and decided to quickly save himself and Naruto from embarrassing themselves and stop the argument. Me and Naruto both know our limits, so we know who would win in a fight between us, so you two don't have to argue about that, but rather think about your own strengths and what you want to do in the future. What do you mean, big brother? Asked a confused Sasuke. What I mean is what do you want to become in the future? Itachi asked, but already knew the answer. Sasuke smiled and replied, I want to join the village police force like father. Naruto looked at her savior in deep thought, while Naruto himself raised an eyebrow in interest at hearing the young blonde's answer. Have you thought about what you want to become when you grow up, Naruto? Naruto asked, and the little blonde nodded. Yeah, I thought about it a little, and I want to become a hero just like the fourth Hokage. And like you, Naruto said the last part with a blush. Both A and B were surprised at the answer since they didn't expect that answer and wondered if the blonde would hate the Hokage after she finds out that he sealed the Kyuubi inside her. That's quite an ambition to be like the fourth Hokage. If you really want to be like him, then it will be a tough road ahead of you, Itachi said wisely. But don't worry, I'm sure you can even surpass the fourth if you work hard, and I'll help you whenever you need it, Naruto assured with a smile, and was rewarded with a blush and thank you from the blonde. But it's not fair that we can only go to the academy when we're 7. Both you and Naruto attended the academy when you were just 4, big brother, Sasuke said with a pout. That's because there haven't been any threat of war between the major nations in the recent years, so the Hokage decided to increase the age requirement so kids can enjoy their childhood more, and so that most adult ninja don't become too mentally unstable in the future, Naruto said, and Sasuke mouthed about not being fair, while Naruto murmured about stupid, crazy ninja. Like you're one to talk, Naruto. You're already crazy, even if it's a little. Spinal cord's off, thought Itachi with a deadpan. Hey kids, come on and have some snacks, Mikoto said from inside the house, and both Naruto and Sasuke ran off at the mention of snacks while the two E and Bu walked inside casually. Later. A month has passed since Naruto started to live with Naruto, and she couldn't be happier since she had become good friends with Itachi, Shisui, and Sasuke, while Mikoto was like a mother to her, and even the Uchiha clan had taken a liking to her. While Naruto was sometimes busy with his ANBU duties, Naruto would stay with Mikoto and her family, and whenever he would be back, both Uzumaki spent a lot of time together, which either consisted of Naruto teaching Naruto reading, writing, and other survival and useful skills since she needed the basics before he decides to train her, or having fun by either Naruto forcing Naruto to help her with a prank or annoying Sasuke. But not everything can go smoothly in the elemental nations since Naruto finally got the council summoned from the Hokage, which he expected to get sooner, but didn't think much about it. Hokage Council Room. The council room was filled with the usual ninja clan heads, the Hokage's advisors, and the civilian council, since the matter was also concerning them indirectly and the Hokage himself. Naruto entered wearing his Anbu gear and stood stoically in front of the room. You summoned me Hokage Dano, Fox stated emotionlessly, since he was on active duty and was required of him as such. Yes, Fox. I have been informed that you have taken the guardianship of the Jinchuriki some time ago, and she has been living with you up until now, stated the Hokage, and Fox nodded. Yes, Hokage Dano, that is correct. And can you explain as to why? Asked the Hokage, and everyone listened intently to hear the young Anbu's reason for his actions. And why not Hokage Dano? Fox stated. Everyone blinked at the question since they were expecting an answer, not a question. Pardon? I didn't understand, Fox, asked a confused Hokage. My answer is why not Hokage Dano. The girl was kicked out of the orphanage and was near starvation, so I decided to help her and guide her, not only for her, but for the safety of the village as well. Since she could have died, then the QB would have been released, and the fourth Hokage wouldn't be here again to save us, Fox answered, but lied a little since he didn't really give a damn about a village full of strangers he didn't know, since the only thing he cared about was his clan, his friends, and the young blonde who is also related to him and has warmed up her way into his heart, while everyone paled at the thought of the QB escaping. Be that as it may, but it was agreed by everyone in the council that no clan would be allowed to adopt the Jinchuriki, since that would give far too much power to one clan, which would put imbalance between the village, said Hayashi Hyuga as he glared at the young Anbu. You are right, Hyugadano, but you are overlooking one important fact, replied Fox. And what would that be, Fox? Asked Shikaku as he looked on with a calculative look. That I am an Anbu and my loyalty lies first and foremost to the Hokage and no one else. That is the reason why I wear a mask, so that it may show that I have given up my identity and taken up one of a protector of the leaf and the blade of the Hokage, said Fox, and added a tone of great pride to his monotone voice, so that it may have the effect he desired on his target. Fox got his desired effect when the Hokage smiled warmly at him. His will of fire burns stronger the more he grows. He just might be the one I can give my hat to, thought the Hokage in happiness. Strong words, Fox, but that doesn't remove the fact that you still have guardianship of the Jinchuriki, stated Danzo, and Fox scowled behind his mask since he didn't like the old asshole who treated all ninja like tools and also was obsessed with being the Hokage. I am aware of that fact, Danzo Dano, but what the council isn't aware of is that I have taken the guardianship of the Jinchuriki under my Anbu name thus. That means whenever I quit my position, I would lose her guardianship, Fox answered, and most were confused at this until they understood that until Danzo solved their confusion. I see, so the right over Jinchuriki is by proxy still in the Hokage's hands. I see no more reason to continue this council, then since it wouldn't hurt for the Jinchuriki to have a caretaker, Danzo said dismissively, and Fox got a very strong urge rip the man to shreds, but kept his cool. Wait, but what about the Jinchuriki's loyalty? Since she will live a long time in the Uchiha district, she will probably have more loyalty to the Uchiha clan, asked Choza Akimichi, who was clan head of the Akimichi clan. Loyalty is earned with love, Akimichi Dano, Fox stated, and everyone got the meaning when they looked at the stoic and emotionless face of the Uchiha clan head, since the Uchiha clan is one of the most stoic clan. Since most clans and civilians held hatred for the Jinchuriki, the council thought the Uchiha would be the same and wouldn't show any love or respect for the Jinchuriki, and that would make the Jinchuriki only loyal to the Hokage, thus to the village itself. If only you knew, you predictable stupid shit stains. My clan is far above your biased and low views, thought Fox, and smirked behind his mask since this discussion was all his. Well, I suppose this council is over. Everyone is dismissed, the Hokage said as he made his way to his office while the others started to move as well. Maybe you should think less and eat more, Choza. You were never a thinker, buddy, stated Inoichi Yamanaka as he comforted his friend who was crying anime tears since the young Anbu's answer made him look like an idiot. Well played, Naruto, as expected of an Uchiha. Win with absolute power, thought Fugaku with pride, and nodded towards Fox, who nodded back and disappeared in a bolt of lightning. Hokage's office. What do you think, Jiraiya? Asked the Hokage as he worked on his paperwork while Jiraiya was smiling happily. Well, I think I just got a huge load off my shoulders. Now I don't have to worry about the kid being okay or not, since Naruto is definitely someone I can rely on, Jiraiya said with a smile. Indeed, as do I, since I don't think I could face Minato in the afterlife if the conditions of his daughter's living continued like they had previously. Jiraiya's face darkened at the statement. Sensei, what the hell were you doing when the kid was kicked out of the orphanage? The Hokage frowned at the question. I suppose it's my fault since I didn't personally check up on her, and the two Chunin who I had assigned to watch over her had lied in their reports to me because they had a grudge against the Kyuubi, and so the child suffered, but rest assured that they were punished properly. Jiraiya scowled. Damn retards. I wish I could look after the kid myself, but my spy network needs to work overtime just in case any nations tries of attacking us since we still aren't back to full power. Finished Jiraiya with a depressed tone. True, but we are lucky we have such a great ninja who has such great loyalty to the village and has great character as well. Something very rare these days, said the Hokage, and Jiraiya smirked a bit. You aren't planning on dumping this job on the kid, are you? The Hokage smiled. Well, these old bones aren't getting any younger, and I do want some time to read a little Aika Aika, but not now, maybe in a few years since he is still too young. But if you want the job, Jiraiya, I'd be happy to give it to you. As the Hokage finished, and when he looked at the place where Jiraiya was previously standing on was note left which read never, and the Hokage chuckled at his student's antics. Later on top of the Hokage monument, Fox was standing on top of the head of the fourth Hokage and staring intently at the village, but more precisely at the Uchiha district. I will always protect those precious to me, because that is my Nindo, thought Fox with determination as he clenched his fist. Come on, Fox, wake up. I don't want to be late for the academy on the first day, said Naruto as she tried to wake the sleeping Anbu up. Burn in hell, stupid academy. Quietly cursed the sleepy Anbu as he got up and looked at the 7-year blonde in her orange pajamas who was smiling at him. Good morning, Fox. Come on, get ready, we have 45 minutes before the classes start, Naruto said as she pulled the sleepy Anbu from his bed, who was only clad in a pair of black shorts. There is nothing good about this morning. I seriously hate mornings, mumbled the Anbu as he picked up his clothes from atop a table and entered the bathroom to freshen up. 15 minutes later, Naruto came out of the bathroom and was now wearing black cargo pants and a black muscle shirt with the Uchiha and Uzumaki symbols on his shoulder blades. What's for breakfast? Asked Naruto as he looked at the now 7-year-old blonde who was setting up the table. Rice with fish and miso soup, Naruto answered with a smile, but when she looked at the Fox Anbu, she blushed when Fox was fixing his hair to make it spikier and was unknowingly flexing his well-developed muscles, and the muscle shirt wasn't helping any. His body is same as Gohan in Cell Saga. Smells good, said Fox with a smile, and sat down and began to eat his breakfast. So now that I'll be a ninja in training, will you please teach me some jutsu? Naruto pleaded as she looked at the genius Anbu, who nodded with a smile. I guess so, since it's about time we started, but we will still mainly focus on chakra control, Fox said, and smirked a bit when Naruto groaned. Ah, but chakra control is so boring. Tree walking just isn't that awesome after you master it, Naruto finished with a huff. Most people would kill to have the chakra reserves you have, just so you know, Fox stated, and Naruto puffed up her cheeks. I know, but it's not fair that you have even more chakra than me, and you have perfect control. Not everyone can be as awesome as me, you know, Fox said with a smirk and smiled when the young blonde pouted. After a while, both Uzumaki finished their food and began to leave for the academy. Good choice with your clothes, Fox said, and Naruto smiled in appreciation, since she took quite some time picking her outfit, which consisted of black ninja sandals, black combat shorts that reached her knees, a black t-shirt, and over it, she wore a short-sleeved rip-up red hoodie with the Uzumaki clan symbol on the back. Thanks, come on, let's get going, I don't want to be late, Naruto said as she dragged the Anbu with her, and most Uchiha who saw them either smirked or raised an eyebrow in amusement at the scene of the young blonde dragging the clan Prodigy around. Later. Didn't get enough sleep, huh? Naruto asked as he looked at his rival who had a slightly irritated and sleepy look on his face. Don't remind me. Would anyone suspect us if we burn the place down tonight? Itachi asked, sounding quite serious since he had to wake up quite early because Sasuke kept on bothering him and he didn't get enough sleep, which was a busy Anbu's best friend, and Naruto chuckled at his friend's anger at being denied sleep. They might not find out it was us, but then Naruto and Sasuke will whine about there not being an academy for months, and I'd rather not deal with that, Naruto said, and Itachi sighed at his predicament since Sasuke would definitely whine about it. So how is your training with Naruto progressing? Itachi asked in interest since his rival had started to teach taijutsu and chakra control to the young blonde a year ago, and he was interested in finding out how much she has learned. It's going good, I guess. She's pretty talented in taijutsu, but her chakra control is going pretty slow, Naruto said with a sigh, and Itachi nodded in understating. I'm guessing it's due to that, Itachi said quietly, and Naruto nodded. She definitely is talented, though I'm looking forward to seeing how good she will be in ninjutsu and fuinjutsu, Naruto said with excitement and anticipation clear in his eyes, and Itachi raised an eyebrow in amusement. Oh, is it because of her reserves and Uzumaki heritage that will make her exceptional in those fields, or is it because they are your favorites? Itachi asked. A little of both, though I still haven't decided on which jutsu to start with her since the academy can teach her the basic three, so I won't waste my time with that, Naruto answered, and wondered at the same time. Why not teach her your famous flash step? I'm sure she would love the jutsu, Itachi suggested, but got a bad feeling when Naruto smirked slyly. You want me to teach the jutsu that can help her outrun a lot of people, huh? Well, it is a battle-oriented body flicker, and it would be helpful if she knew the technique, Itachi answered in slight confusion. Let me tell you why I don't want her to know that technique just yet, Itachi. Tell me, what can you do if you have the flash step? I can move extremely fast, avoid detection, and kill my enemies faster, Itachi answered the technical ANBU way. Right, that's what we ANBU would use it for, but what will a natural prankster like Naruto do with it? Naruto asked and smirked when he saw Itachi pale a little. She could literally get away with almost any prank. Itachi said, a little horrified since Naruto's pranks were extremely elaborate, and some could even be used by ANBU if you replace the water balloons and other harmless items with pointy and sharp kunai. Sometimes I wish you never created that jutsu, Naruto, Itachi said with exasperation at his rival's genius when it came to creating jutsu. Come on, it helped to save your and Shirsue's asses when we were younger, Naruto said with a smile, and Itachi nodded. Good times. I remember when we used to go for team kills. Those were such good times, Itachi said with nostalgia. You're sounding like an old man already, Itachi, Naruto said with a smirk. With the shit we had to go through as ANBU, and still do, I wouldn't be surprised if we get gray hair when we reach our 20s, Itachi said with a deadpan. Oh, come on, Itachi, you're such a downer. Only you would enjoy being surrounded by dozens of enemy ninja in their territory, Naruto, Itachi said with a shake of his head, and Naruto smirked. The two ANBU's conversation would have continued if not interrupted by the two young ninja in training. Hey big brother, we're off since the academy is about to start, Sasuke said as he approached Itachi and Naruto. See you after the academy, Fox, Naruto said with a smile, and Naruto returned it with his own. Good luck, Naruto, and you too, Sasuke, though I doubt you two would need it, Naruto said, and both the ninja in training smiled in pride at being praised by the genius ANBU. And pay attention in class. I've heard that they have changed the academy curriculum from the time we were there, so there might be new things you two can learn, Itachi said. Both Sasuke and Naruto nodded. We have to get going, so see you two later, and I'll pick you up when the academy finishes, Naruto. After that, the four said their goodbyes and went their own ways. Later. So how was the academy today? Naruto asked as they were walking towards the Uchiha district along with Itachi and Sasuke. Boring. All we learned today was stupid history and what we will be learning later, and did you know that girls have to learn flowering arranging? Naruto asked in irritation at the low standard of the academy. Haha, lame, Sasuke said from Itachi's back since he was giving him a piggyback ride. Shut up, Oni-chan lover, Naruto said in irritation since boys didn't have to learn how to arrange flowers and other crappy useless things. What, I'm not an Oni-chan lover, Sasuke shot back in anger and embarrassment. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Oni-chan, or is it your Oni-chan? Naruto asked slyly and smirked when Sasuke fumed at the accusation. And so the young ninja in training continued to bicker with each other while the young ANBU had their own conversation. Looks like the Academy's standards have gotten low, Naruto said in disappointment. It can't be helped since it has been somewhat peaceful for quite a while, and I think they also lowered the standards so more civilians can become ninja, Itachi said in slight thought. Naruto snorted, like it would help. All they are doing is sending them to a brutal death. The life of a ninja isn't for everyone. Indeed, but it can't be helped since it's not in our power to change that, Itachi agreed. Anyways, I have stuff to buy, so we will see you guys later, Naruto said as he slightly pulled the young blonde with him who was still arguing with Sasuke, and both Uzumakis and Uchiha went their own way. Later. So did you make any friends today? Naruto while cooking food while Naruto was setting up the table. Hmm, well, I wouldn't say friends yet, but I did meet some interesting people today, Naruto answered with a confused expression on her face. Oh, what kind of interesting? Naruto asked in interest. Hey Fox, have you ever met someone named Hinata? Naruto asked as she looked at the Fox Anbu with a concentrated stare. The Fox Anbu himself thought over it for a minute. Hinata. Hinata, I think I know a few girls named Hinata. Which one do you know? He asked curiously. Naruto huffed as she crossed her arms over her chest and looked away with an angry pout. Today in the academy, all the new students got assigned to their classes, and I'm in the same class as Sasuke, but that's not important. When it was break time, everyone went outside and me too, but when I was having my lunch, this pale-eyed weird girl with dark blue hair comes and asks me that what is my relationship with you. Naruto finished, and as she looked at the curious Ianbu who motioned for her to continue. Naruto blushed a bit before she continued. I told her that we are family and we live together, Naruto said, and looked at Naruto who smiled. Well, what did she say after that? He asked, getting interested in where this was going. She glares at me and tells me I'm not worthy or something and to stay away from you. Naruto said with rage fully visible on her cute face, and the Anbu sighed as he remembered who she was talking about. So what did you do? I told her that it wasn't any of her business and that she was weird. After that, she just glares at me even more and walks away saying I'm her rival or something. Naruto finished with a huff and looked at Naruto for an explanation. Naruto himself rubbed the back of his neck in amusement. I guess I know who you're talking about. I met her a year ago, well, more like I saved her a year ago, Naruto explained. Flashback. Fox, fully clad in his Anbu gear, sighed as he silently followed the Kumo ambassador through the shadows. I knew something was up with this treaty. It was too easily made. Good thing I decided to keep an eye on these guys, and I was right again since these guys want to be a Kugan apparently, thought Fox tiredly, since he really didn't like the pathetic attempts of kidnapping from the Kumo ninja. After the Kumo ninja leader kidnapped the Hyuga heiress, they quickly made their way to get out of the village, and Fox followed them, since fighting inside the village will not only cause collateral damage, but Kumo can also accuse them of attacking their ninja. So when he gets them in the forest where they aren't supposed to be and capture them alive, then it will politically help Konoha when the time comes for Kumo to pay compensation for attempted kidnapping and making a false alliance. Fox's plan went as he wanted, but with a side track of Hinata waking up and panicking seeing the Kumo holding her and her being tied up. Then the Kumo ninja monologue of her giving Kumo the Byakugan and increasing the might of Kumo. The little girl was near hysterics about being taken away from home and used as a slave, but thankfully Fox decided that the time to intervene was perfect, and he quickly knocked out the Kumo ninja and saved the heiress. Fox made shadow clones and took the tied-up Kumo ninja back to the village, and he himself picked up and calmed down the crying girl. After they got back to the village, Fox took the little girl back to her clan compound. He also noted that when he refused to show the girl his face, she used her Byakugan to look at his face and blushed when she saw his face. Great, not another admirer, though Fox with a sigh as he handed the blushing girl to her father and disappeared away in a bolt of lightning, while making a mental note to make seals that would hide his identity from the Byakugan. Flashback end. That's pretty much it, and the Hyuga were very grateful to me too since I saved them from having to give a clan member to Kumo if any of their ninja were killed, which I'm sure would have happened if any Hyuga had found them, Naruto finished, and looked at Naruto, who had a thoughtful expression on her face. So you're her hero? I don't see why she would want me to stay away from you because of that, Naruto asked, confused. Naruto sighed. It's more like she has a crush on me since I saved her. Naruto frowned at that. I'm not going to let that weirdo get close to you. Who knows what she would do to you? Besides, you deserve someone better. Naruto finished at the end of her statement with a blush. Naruto smirked, seeing the blush. And who do you think is good enough for me and Naruto-chan? Naruto asked teasingly, since he was aware that the young blonde had developed a crush on him as well, but didn't really know her feelings yet. He found it cute, but didn't think much about it since it was only a childhood crush. If only you knew Naruto. Well, why you deserve someone smart, pretty, strong, and who would stay with you forever. Naruto stuttered since she really didn't know what to say to that, but the only thing she was sure of was that the ANBU definitely deserved the best person out there for him. Really now? Will you help me find her then? Naruto asked with a teasing smile and smirked, seeing the young blonde blushing up a storm. Oh, of course. Naruto answered, and Naruto smiled at the cute display and felt happy knowing he had someone who cared deeply for him, and it only strengthened his determination to protect her even more. Later. Fire release. Great fireball jutsu. Naruto said as she fired a fireball the size of a small house at the lake in front of her and watched as her jutsu soared forward and hit the lake, making a large amount of steam. How? Sasuke asked, amazed with his mouth agape, seeing the giant fireball since it was easily 10 times larger than his own. Hee, how do you like that, Aoni-kan? Naruto asked with a smirk, seeing her rival's face. Sasuke couldn't give a comeback at the jab at his private since he couldn't believe the phenomenon in front of him, since it had been 5 months since the academy started and he had learned his first fire jutsu from his father a month ago and was proud of himself for being able to master it to a degree, but his rival had easily mastered the same jutsu and hers was 10 times larger than his own, and he felt his pride hurt a little. At the fact. How did you do that? Sasuke asked, amazed and a little envious. Naruto giggled. Fox taught me how, and before you ask why is my jutsu bigger, well, it's because my jutsu is a little modified than the original and I added a lot of chakra to make it bigger, answered Naruto, and Sasuke frowned. But I added a lot of chakra too. Sasuke replied. I have a lot more chakra than you, Sasuke. But Sasuke would have continued if Naruto didn't interrupt him. Now Sasuke, don't feel bad. Not everyone can be as awesome as me, Naruto said with a smirk, and both ninja in training continued to argue about their jutsu. A little distance away from them, hidden in the trees, were Naruto and Itachi, and both were smiling, seeing the rivalry forming. Looks like Naruto is picking up a few things from you. I wonder if that's a good thing or bad, Itachi said with a small smile. Definitely better than picking up any of your traits, Ototo-kan, Naruto said with a smirk, and Itachi glared at him. I don't have something like my little brother Naruto, Itachi said seriously, and Naruto mentally patted himself on the back again for annoying Itachi. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Itachi, Naruto said dismissively as he made his way back home, seeing that the young blonde would be finished with her training soon, and it was about time he started cooking lunch since it was his turn. Sometimes you are very annoying, Naruto, Itachi said, irritated at the fact that his rival could annoy him so easily. The rivals would have continued on their way if Shursui and his ANBU gear didn't body flicker near them. Hey guys, there is a clan meeting in an hour, and you both need to attend, Shursui said seriously, and both Naruto and Itachi understood by his tone that it was something important. Wonder what it's about. Naruto wondered. Good, now that everyone is here we can begin, said Fugaka seriously as he looked at everyone in the room. This must be pretty serious if we're using the secret meeting room and all the elders, jonin, and important figures of the clan are here, Naruto thought with a frown, since he couldn't think of any important matter that might have needed the meeting. Now then, I believe this matter can't be ignored any longer, so let us start, said one of the elders of the clan. Fugaka nodded. Yes, but first, since not all the members are completely aware of the situation, we should begin from the beginning. True. As everyone knows, ever since the founding of the village by the Uchiha and Senju clan, there has always been tension between our clan and the village. This over time has barely decreased. Even though the Senju have almost died out, there is still unresolved tension, which is due to the students of the Senju. Explained another elder with slight pause as he looked at everyone to see that they understand. Naruto frowned and asked, by the students of the Senju you mean the third Hokage and the council elders? Fugako nodded at his question. Yes, even though the Senju are almost extinct, their students live and follow their orders faithfully, one of which is keeping a close eye on our clan. You mean the third Hokage and his advisors? But why would they keep an eye on our clan? Our clan works tirelessly in the village police and keeps the peace, asked one of the Jonin in the clan. That's true, and while the Hokage is neutral to us like he is to the other clans, the same can't be said about his advisors since they are the students of the second Hokage who had a very strong dislike for our clan, said the first elder. Naruto thought over the information he was given. The third Hokage was the student of the first and second Hokage and had learned everything from them, including their ideals, while his advisors were the students of the second, who wasn't as forgiving or kind as the first. So I'm guessing before the second passed away, he either warned his students or gave them an order about our clan. And now they are causing some sort of problem for us. Naruto said his theory and was given small smiles of pride from the elders. Very sharp of you to figure it out. Yes, ideals and beliefs usually always pass on from a teacher to a student in the ninja world, and it is the same for the second and his students. Sadly, his beliefs were that our clan is nothing more than a bunch of stealing and backstabbing people, and his students believe the same and are weary of us, explained an elder as she looked at Naruto with pride. But why are they so cautious of us? We haven't done anything wrong, asked one of the Jonin. They fear that we may overthrow them from their power, and according to their sensei, we will bring war to the entire elemental nations should we gain political power, explained another elder. One of the Jonin snorted, like they have been real peacekeepers. The Hokage will backstab any nation if it can get Konoha stronger, and that Danzo, well, don't me started on that guy. He has no pride, honor, or power, and trains mindless drones to do his dirty work and protect Konoha. The Jonin finished with the emphasis on the protect word, since only very few high-tier ninja knew what Danzo actually did was to further his own ambitions. Naruto frowned slightly at what the elders said. Stealing? True, while our Sharingan can copy jutsu, and people may call it stealing, but I don't see why anyone would care about stealing from someone who wants to kill them, and no one from Konoha has the right to call us thieves since, after all, 85% of all the jutsu, including the Tai, Nin, Jin, and Kenjutsu of the village jutsu vault, was made by our clan, who copied them from hundreds of different enemies. And yet very few even use them, since the clan ninja rely mostly on their clan techniques, while the normal ninja mainly use what is passed on to them. Truly a waste, and the council wonders why so many ninja die from our village, Naruto finished, and most of his clansmen were either puffing their chest in pride in case of the Jonin, while the elders simply smiled slightly. Yes, while the arrogance and ignorance of the council and regular ninja aside, we must get to the main topic of this meeting, said one elder as he looked at Fugako, who nodded. You all have been summoned to discuss something very serious in regards to our clan, seeing as how there is very little chance of an Uchiha gaining political power due to the interference of the Hokage and elders, and the way that this village is headed with its arrogance of being the strongest village. We do not foresee a good future for the village or our clan if this goes on so. The elders and I have discussed this for quite some time and have decided that it must be done for the future of our clan and the village. We must stage a coup d'etat. Fugako finished gravely, and most of the clansmen who weren't aware of the plan eyes widened in surprise. Naruto was the first one to get over his surprise. But wouldn't that cause a civil war? And if word gets out, then there might even be another world war. Fugako nodded in agreement. While I agree that the chances of that happening are high, but that would happen if there is a civil war, we have come up with a well-devised plan to quickly take out all the leaders that may oppose us or take command of the ninja against us. And when we take them down, then the populace will follow our command, since there won't be anyone to follow, thus no chance of a civil war happening. So it's just our clan versus the entire ninja population of the village? Naruto asked, a little worried since he and his friends could take care of themselves, but the same couldn't be said about his clansmen against thousands of ninjas. Fugako nodded grimly. Yes, it would seem that way, because the Hyuga would love to do nothing better than dispose of our clan and become the strongest clan of Konoha. The Inuzuka don't trust us much, while the Nara and Aburame are too afraid to do anything, and the Akimichi are too stupid without the Nara and Yamanaka to be useful. But nonetheless, even with these odds, our clan will succeed because there is a reason why our clan is called the strongest clan of Konoha, Fugaku explained in Naruto. Sighed in annoyance and understanding that every clan were looking to become number one, and should the Uchiha fall, then it will give the other clans a lot more prestige and power, which was more than enough good reason for them to not interfere and let things play out without risking their own ninja. Murmurs rang out as the Jonin quietly discussed the information, and Naruto looked at Itachi and Shursui, who both had expressionless faces on. I wonder what they think about this. Though if we plan this right, and with me and them we could pull this off, Naruto, though as he himself processed the information. Fugaku coughed lightly to get everyone's attention. Now then, in order to carry out our mission, we will need time, information, and perfect coordination between us so that we may succeed. And as for the information, we have Itachi and Shursui acting as our spies in the ANBU ranks so that we may know how to handle the ANBU and their patrols. Naruto raised an eyebrow in surprise at the statement since he didn't know about it, and that he wasn't chosen to do it. Seeing his surprised look, Fugaku decided to clear his confusion. While you are as skilled as both of them, Naruto, we needed someone from the clan to take on many missions, so the Hokage doesn't suspect that any of our ninja are slacking off. With you doing extra and more dangerous missions outside the nation, Itachi and Shursui get the easier and less time-consuming ones so that they can spy for us. Fugaku finished, and Naruto nodded at the explanation since it did make sense since he was more battle-oriented and preferred it rather than spying, and since he was stronger than them, it made it easier for him. All right, let us start off with the duties each of you will have. Fugaku started, and everyone paid attention as to what job they will get since they didn't want to screw up on something so important. Later, report, said the Hokage seriously as he looked at the two young ENBU in front of him. The Uchiha clan have decided to stage a coup d'etat, and it will commence in 10 months' time, said Itachi emotionlessly and in a monotone voice as he kneeled in front of the Hokage in his full ANBU gear and with Shursui beside him. The Hokage sighed and rubbed his forehead to ease some stress from the bad news he is given. While he didn't really have any contempt for the Uchiha since the clan was one of the founders of the village and had contributed a lot to it, like the jutsus or maintaining the internal security and peace, and he knew that some of them could make a great difference in the village, but his childhood friends and rival thought otherwise. The second Hokage wasn't a fan of the Uchiha clan, and that was putting it extremely mildly, since he really hated and feared the clan because almost all of them had a great and dangerous potential in them, and that was the Sharingan, which if ever further evolved would make them nearly invincible. The main reason he feared the clan was because of Madara Uchiha, since if it weren't for the first Hokage and his Mokuton Jutsu, then there wouldn't have been anyone that could have stopped Madara from completely wiping out the Senju clan, and the thought of anyone getting the same eyes and power frightened him greatly, so he had ordered his students to watch over the clan and keep them in line. And his students did a great job of doing that by secretly stopping the Uchiha from gaining any political power and placing most of the members in the police force so that they may not get a lot of field experience and get the chance of awakening their Manjikyo. How disappointing. I had thought the Uchiha would be more wise than to defect against the village, but it can't be helped. Hiruzen, they must be disposed of, Danzo said in monotone, but there was a slight hint of disappointed and glee in it, but no one noticed it, and the Hokage sighed at his rival's kill it or control it attitude. There must be some other way to solve this other than disposing of the entire clan. They are far too valuable an asset to just toss them aside, and don't forget they are also one of the founding clans of the village, the Hokage said neutrally as he thought over the pros and cons of eradicating the clan. So are all the ninja clan members agreeing to this? And more specifically, what is Naruto's opinion on the matter? Hamura asked neutrally, as he also thought over killing off some members of the clan, but leaving any that didn't want to take part in it, and more specifically the S-rank prodigy of the clan that would be a great asset to the village. Itachi remained emotionless as he answered. He supports the clan head and elders and will take part in the coup d'etat. As Itachi answered, the elders visibly scowled, especially Danzo, who was always the one who kept his emotions in check. That won't do. Not only does he have great potential, but he is also the last living Uzumaki male left in the elemental nations, and should he die, then we would lose the Uzumaki clan forever, and that cannot be allowed, Koharu said with a scowl, since the thought of one of the big three clans dying out and their bloodline with them wasn't very good news for Konoha. The big three clans were the Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki. The Senju are almost extinct, with the only member left being that of Tsunade, who is in her 40s and is single without a child. The Uzumaki were nearly wiped out, and the only members left were Naruto and the Jinchuriki, and a male was more valuable since he could make more children a lot faster than a female. The Uchiha's fate is hanging by a thread, and their future wasn't looking very good. The Senju are doomed to die out with Tsunade, but Konoha could not afford to lose such important bloodlines like the Sharingan and the chakra chains and reserves of the Uzumaki. Indeed, not only would it be a great waste, but Konoha would also lose a S-rank ninja, which isn't very wise. Perhaps we should make an exception for him, came the suggestion surprisingly from Danzo, and the Hokage raised an eyebrow in interest. And what do you have in mind, Danzo? The Hokage asked neutrally as he looked at his rival. Danzo paused as he thought over his words. Killing off a few members will simply not do, since they would suspect us, and there would be great tension between us and the clan. Not only that, but they might even leave the village, which they can do to the law made by the daimyo. We will lose the Sharingan regardless if we spare a few, just so they could repopulate again. And the worst part is that other nations may try desperate attempts at kidnapping any survivors later, since there will be a few left, which will make them even more invaluable. My suggestion is that we dispose of the entire clan, but only leave Naruto, as he has both the Uchiha and Uzumaki bloodlines in him, and he will be the one that will restore both the clans into a new one which will be stronger than its predecessors, with both the Sharingan and the amazing chakra of the Uzumaki. Truly a clan to feared will be born, who will be loyal to Konoha. And if we work this right, the boy won't suspect us at all. We will still have his loyalty. Danzo finished his suggestion, and the Hokage was once again reminded why Danzo was his rival. While he may not be able to beat him in combat, his mind was his most dangerous asset. Hamura nodded in agreement. True, Danzo, and the boy is even more important. His Sharingan is stronger than any of his clansmen, and he has perfect control of his chakra chains and is a seal master. He is by far the perfect person to restrain the Jinchuriki should she lose control. Even more better is that he might not even need it, since according to the reports I've read, she is smitten by him. Hamura finished, and Koharu nodded in agreement, while the Hokage got a sense of deja vu with Naruko's parents, since her mother and father's situation was very eerily similar, since Minato was a prodigy and was the only one able to stop Kushina with his sealing should she had ever lost control, while she was also smitten by him. Then I believe my point is further strengthened by this. The clan must be disposed of while Naruto is spared. It is by far the best solution to our problem, Danzo said, while Hamura and Koharu nodded. While this conversation was going on, both Itachi and Shursui felt extremely guilty of betraying their clan. They truly loved their clan, but they loved the village more and felt more loyal to it. And while the coup d'etat plan was a very good one, it still had chances of failing, and not only that, but they would have to kill a lot of people in order to take over the village, which will leave a lot of scars on the ninja populace, which in the end may later have led up to a civil war, so they really couldn't afford to side with their clan, since war wasn't something they wanted to happen, and if it meant for their clan to perish, then they would carry it out. Kill 100 to save thousands was what both the A and BU kept telling themselves, and were brought out of their thoughts by the order the Hokage gave them. Itachi and Shursui, it would seem it cannot be avoided. In order for the village to prosper and the peace to continue, your clan must be disposed of. Your orders are as follows. You both will kill off all of your clan at a designated time, given while there would be no one around, so that you may carry it out perfectly, and after you are done you both must become nuke ninja, so that no suspicion may fall on the leaf. You will be given any orders after you defect by Jiraiya, the Hokage finished solemnly, since he didn't want it to go ahead this way, but it was by far the best method, and he would take it if it meant the prosperity of the Leaf Village. Hokage-sama, we understand, but what about Naruto? Shursui asked as he barely kept his voice in monotone, since even the thought of what he was going to do was sickening him, but he had to do it. He told himself, because thousands will die if a war broke out, and it didn't matter if it was civil or world. We have plenty of time till the coup d'etat, so until then we can come up with a perfect timing so that you may carry out your mission, and I will send off Naruto on a mission outside the village so that he doesn't interfere, Hokage said, and he almost sounded apologetic. We understand, Shursui said lowly. Hokage-sama, I have a request. Itachi suddenly said, and the Hokage and elders raised eyebrows in interest since Itachi never really asked or complained about anything. Please, Hokage-sama, I beg you to spare my little brother Sasuke, Itachi said as he bowed completely, and the Hokage eyes widened slightly in surprise at the gesture while the elders remained expressionless. That is quite the request, Itachi. But will he remain loyal and stable after you defect, since losing your clan and family isn't something a child can go through without some form of trauma? The Hokage said, unsure since he didn't think Itachi would request something like that. Yes, sir. He will still have Naruto, and I firmly believe that Naruto can keep him from being consumed by darkness, Itachi replied, and the Hokage sighed as he thought over the pros and cons of sparing the boy. After a few antagonizing moments of silence, the Hokage finally replied, Very well, Itachi, your little brother will be spared. Itachi internally sighed a breath of relief since he knew he wouldn't be able to kill his little brother and hoped that Naruto would look after his brother. Are your orders understood? The Hokage asked seriously after a few moments, and both A and Bu responded with silent nods. Later, what's gotten you in such a good mood? Although you hated the academy since it was boring, Naruto asked as he walked towards the Uchiha compound. Oh, nothing. Naruto replied mischievously as walked next to the ANBU with a winning smirk on her face. Naruto looked at Sasuke, who was walking along with them, and was smirking slightly all the way and decided to answer Naruto when he gave him a confused look. There's this Hyuga girl in our class who pissed her off, and while she got pranked, Sasuke said, and continued as Naruto looked on interested. I don't know the whole deal, but Naruto set up a pretty good tripwire trap for her, so when she went to her usual spot to eat during lunch, she stepped on the trap and got pulled up by the rope at the ankles and was paint-bombed with bright orange paint, and a stamp hit her on the forehead that said, I'm a pervert, and funny thing, even though she accused Naruto of doing it, she couldn't prove, and Blondie here got away scot-free, and the Hyuga girl was fuming, Sasuke said, and Naruto chuckled at the misfortune of one of Naruto's victims. It was a good thing she never pranked him, since she always sets up the prank so stealthily that it escapes even a normal ninja's senses. So want to tell me why you pranked her? Naruto asked with a smirk, since he was interested in what did the girl do that warranted her a prank from Naruto. The girl is pervert, and I hate perverts, Naruto replied with a huff as she turned away blushing slightly, and Naruto raised an eyebrow in curiosity. Don't you mean you got pissed that she was checking Naruto out with her Byakugan and was drooling like a dog, so you decided to teach her a lesson? Sasuke said with a smirk to his rival, who looked at him with her face red as a tomato from embarrassment, but her expression was furious. You are so dead, you Oni icon, Naruto said dangerously, and Sasuke gulped with fear since the look in her eyes said that he was about to be her next victim. Meanwhile, Naruto chuckled at their antics and the young blonde's crush on him, and was slightly disturbed by the fact Hinata was using her Byakugan on him. Damn, now I have to make seals that hides my body from the Byakugan, and no wonder those Hyuga and Bu girls always whistled when they looked at me. I wonder if they were using their Byakugan too, but can't tell since they always wore their masks. Come to think of it, then why were the Hyuga guys always angry at me and glared most of the time? Could they? Nah, they'd never use their Byakugan on me. Naruto wondered silently to himself, unaware that a lot of Hyuga girls used their Byakugan on him, while every Hyuga male were jealous of his physical superiority. Then again, a lot of Hyuga males were also a little unstable, sometimes due to their misfortune of encountering a lot of male ninjas and seeing things that should not be seen. Later, I'll be gone for 3 days, so take care till then, and help Makoto Obasan around the house, would you? Naruto said in his full ANBU gear except for his mask as he looked at the young blonde in front of him. All right, and take care, Naruto said with a smile, and Fox returned it as he wore his mask and waved goodbye towards and disappeared in a bolt of lightning. Come on, Naruto-chan, I'm going to make some croquette. I could use some help, Makoto said as she entered the house, and Naruto followed. While both the excitable females entered the house, they never noticed the 2 pairs of Sharingan eyes watching the interaction from a tree a few yards away. Only 3 days left. Itachi said with an almost hollow voice, and Shursui merely nodded. It's for the best, Shursui finally said as he turned around and walked away. Elsewhere, a cleanup mission to take down the new group of Ronin ninja that are attacking trade caravans on the nation's borders. Too easy, Naruto thought as he moved as a blur through the forest in the dark of the night. I wonder what's up with Itachi and Shursui these days. They haven't really been themselves lately. Could be they're just feeling broody, but I feel like something is definitely wrong. But what? The Yimbu thought as continued to ponder about his friend's strange behavior the past months. May I'll see if I can help those two brooders if they're in any trouble, Naruto thought with a sigh as continued onto his destination in a bored manner since the mission would probably won't be a challenge just like the usual ones. Later. Man, those Ronin were pretty boring, but then again, who cares, I still get paid, Naruto thought casually as he made his way towards the Hokage Tower, but slowly stopped as he passed through the Uchiha district. An easy feeling started to form in his gut as he looked towards his clan district, and it made him want to move immediately to see if anything was wrong. Maybe I should check the place out before giving my report. It couldn't hurt to see if everything is fine, Naruto thought as he made his way to his clan district. Uchiha Clan District. The Anbu made his way to the district roof hopping and landed on one of the one-story houses that were in the beginning of the district. He froze as he smelt something he was far too familiar with: blood. Naruto, though, in alert as he jumped off the house and looked at the door of the house. He couldn't hear anything from the entire district, even when he enhanced his senses, and the uneasy feeling in his gut started to turn into dread as he used his sensory skills to check the entire district for anyone in danger or living. He cursed his senses and greatly hoped he was mistaken. Naruto activated his Sharingan behind his mask as he opened the house's door and wasn't surprised to find that the door was unlocked. The Anbu mentally prepared himself as he entered the house and saw a family of 4 dead with their blood painting the floor a deep red. The Anbu had seen death countless times and even killed countless times, and it never bothered him that much since it was a fact of life that people die, and it's either kill or be killed, but the sight of the people in front of him, my people, my clansmen, it really pained him to see the faces of the innocent civilian clansmen dead. His blood-red Sharingan eyes started to spin wildly as they memorized each and every detail of the sight in front of him. The Anbu really wanted to believe this was a really good genjutsu, but his mind wouldn't accept it. The Anbu slowly knelt down and touched the corpse of a small boy, probably 4 years old, dead with his eyes half-lidded. The Anbu closed his eyelids and saw the other Uchiha. 2 parents and 1 daughter, all dead, their eyes empty of life and their bodies bloody. The Anbu noted that they all were killed the same way. It was a kill with a tanto, an Anbu weapon, he noted as he closed their eyelids, and also noted it was a quick kill, the one Anbu use, so the target is taken down as quick as possible. Naruto was slightly happy that at least the family didn't suffer, and they probably didn't even notice they were stabbed before they lost their lives, but his emotions were quickly replaced by a burning rage that was steadily increasing. I need to find out who did this, Naruto thought as he made his way through the district, and his rage increased, and so did new emotions started to form inside him. Fear, despair, sorrow, and self-loathing started to bubble inside his being as walked through the district and saw the dead bodies of his clansmen everywhere he walked. Naruto started to berate himself for not being in the district to protect his clansmen or overseeing any attack on his clan, but he couldn't think of anyone who might be this capable to kill off his clan without alerting the village. These are definitely Kaga-level ninja, at the very least in stealth, but who? And more importantly, why? He thought since if the village had found out about the coup, then the place would be a complete war zone, which it isn't. There are only 2 living chakra signatures in the district, and they are near, and they should be the only ones to know what happened, Naruto thought as he ran towards the 2 very familiar chakra signatures. Glad you made it on time. Naruto, Itachi said emotionlessly with his face blank and his Sharingan active as he stared at Naruto. Itachi, Shursui, what the hell happened here? And what the hell are you 2 doing, just standing there? At least make clones to help someone survive, Naruto said as he stared at his rival and his best friend. He got a very bad feeling as he saw the blank look on their faces as though they lost the ability to feel emotion. There aren't any survivors, and there won't be any since we made sure that everyone is dead, Shursui said as he looked at Naruto with his Sharingan also active. Shock formed on Naruto's face, but it was replaced by pure rage as he glared at the two Uchiha in front of him. You're telling me that you two did this, kill off our entire clan? Naruto slowly asked with his voice devoid of any emotion, and Itachi knew that they would have to choose their next words carefully. Yes, Itachi replied as he stared blankly at his rival. Why? Naruto asked, but it came out as a whisper, but Itachi heard it nonetheless. Because we wanted to test our power to see just how far up we stand, Itachi replied, and Shursui nodded. There was a moment of silence as the two killers stared at their former friend who hadn't moved a single muscle. Itachi noticed that teardrops were falling from his rival's chin, indicating he was crying, but they couldn't see his face since it was hidden by his ANBU mask. You're kidding, right? Do you seriously expect me to believe that you two killed off the entire clan just so that you can test your power? If that was the case, then you would have come after me. Not the clan, since we know who is the strongest from the three of us, Naruto said as he removed his mask since it got wet from his tears, and he glared at his former friends as tears streamed down his face. Itachi and Shursui cursed their luck and Naruto since they were counting on the fact that he would be too emotionally compromised to think rationally and believe everything they would say. They had to work fast if they wanted to get their goal complete. So tell me the truth. Why did you do it? Roared Naruto. Silence and blank stares was all he received as he clenched his teeth in anger and thought of a reason why they would do what they did. After a small moment of silence, his eyes widened as he came to the most probable conclusion of the reason for their actions. Why you two were spies for the village, weren't you? Why? Why would you choose the village over your own clan? Naruto asked, perplexed at friend's actions. Itachi closed his eyes and sighed internally. You wouldn't understand, Naruto. There are thousands of lives at stake, and we couldn't allow war to break out again. Naruto shook with rage at the words, wouldn't understand. You're the one that doesn't understand, Itachi. You gave up on your own family and blood over some strangers that would kill you any chance they get just so they may further their needs and ambitions, he roared. Naruto, you haven't seen some of the things we did because of the Third Ninja World War. It isn't something we want to happen once again. It needed to happen. We had to sacrifice 100 to save 1,000, Shursui said in monotone. Naruto felt his entire body burning like a fire jutsu. The rage was burning inside his very being. So you killed 100 of your own family to save 1,000 strangers. What the hell is wrong with you two? Didn't we go through the plan in the meetings? We would have succeeded and there wouldn't have been any bloodshed and the village could have improved with new leadership. The possibility of failure existed, Naruto. We couldn't afford it. Itachi finally said with a solemn voice. Naruto lowered his head a little so his bangs were shadowing his eyes, and then he chuckled lightly. It was a hollow, painful, and disturbing chuckle. You know, I don't think you two would have done this if you had been through the loneliness and pain went through, Naruto said with a hollow voice. Shursui raised an eyebrow slightly in interest since he didn't know about Naruto's life before he was adopted. I was born an orphan with no known parents. I was left to rot in one of the low-class orphanages where I was barely looked after. I didn't have any friends since I used to get in a lot of fights. The loneliness of not having anyone to care for you. The pain you feel when you look at other kids going around with their parents and siblings as they chat, argue, and be happy while caring for each other. The fact that you'll never have something similar. The truth that there won't be anyone to praise you for your existence and take pride in it. You would never understand that feeling, Itachi, Shursui. You both were raised with loving families that looked after you and got you everything you ever wanted. Tell me, have you ever felt lonely? Naruto asked in a hollow voice as flashes of his childhood ran through his eyes. Both Itachi and Shursui wanted to end this conversation. Now, since Naruto was right, they never felt lonely and were always looked after and loved. Even when they killed their respective parents, they were told that they respected their decision and would always love them. Did they take the love they were given for granted? Both of the best friends felt an unpleasant emotion and pain start to form in their hearts. Naruto never had any parents. He considered the entire clan his family. Did it mean much more to him than it did to them? What's done is done, Naruto. We are leaving, but what are you going to do? Shursui asked as he stared at his former friend, who gave a very dangerous grin. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just going to burn the village to the ground for taking my family from me, Naruto said with a bloodthirsty grin, and both Itachi and Shursui could feel the bloodlust, rage, and hatred rolling off of Naruto in waves. We can't allow you to do that, Naruto, Shursui said dangerously, and Naruto's grin widened further, which made Shursui feel as though he was looking at the devil himself. You both know I can beat you both, so don't make you kill off the last of my family. The only reason I'm sparing you is that you were probably manipulated to an extent by the village and elders, so I can't completely blame you for your actions, Naruto said as he stood up straight, his tears gone and grinned bloodthirsty. We have no choice, looks like we have to use it, Itachi thought with sorrow, since he hadn't planned on using it on his rival. Itachi sighed as he closed his eyes. I'm sorry it had come to this, Naruto. We were hoping not to resort to this, but we have no choice. As he finished, Itachi reopened his eyes, and instead of his regular Sharingan, he had something different. His Sharingan was designed with 3 evenly spaced curves spiraling around the pupil. Naruto stared surprised that his rival had awakened the legendary Mangekyou Shit. It can't be this strong, Naruto thought as his Sharingan lost the battle of Jinjutsu against his rival. Itachi could never have used Jinjutsu on me with his Sharingan, and even if Shursui helped him. So this is the power of the Mangekyou? Naruto thought in alarm. Note: when Uchiha battle with their Sharingan, only the one with the stronger eyes will be able to cast Jinjutsu on his opponent. While Naruto's base Sharingan is stronger than Itachi and Shursui's combined, he still can't beat the Mangekyou, and he doesn't have any real knowledge on the eyes yet, so he lost the battle of Jinjutsu. Second note: this is pretty obvious by the battle between Sasuke and Itachi, where Itachi could use Jinjutsu on Sasuke even when they both were using the base Sharingan and Itachi was holding back. Tsukuyami, Itachi said as he locked eyes with Naruto, and the world became dark. What is this? Naruto asked as he was in the Uchiha district, but the world was completely opposite in color. The sky was red and the moon was yellow. This is the world of Tsukuyomi. In here, I am God, Itachi's voice rang out behind Naruto, and as he turned around, he was faced with the sight of Itachi and Shursui killing off a family. For the next 72 hours, you will witness the massacre of the Uchiha clan and will feel the pain they felt as we killed them, Itachi said in monotone as he began to kill off the Uchiha clan, while Naruto was dealt the pain of 4 people dying at the same time and was amplified. I won't be broken by this, Itachi, Naruto said while taking deep breaths since he could still feel the pain even though it was a Jinjutsu. Then let me make you feel true pain, Naruto, Itachi said, but internally hated himself for what he was about to do next, but it couldn't be avoided. His rival was too strong. Naruto looked forward and saw that the scenery changed to that of the old orphanage he used to live in. Despair started to course through his veins as he felt something as though he was about to live his true nightmare. You see, Naruto, some time ago I researched about your past before you were adopted, and I was surprised at what I found, Itachi said, and in front of Naruto, a 13-year-old girl with long light brown hair that looked almost blonde with turquoise eyes and a bright smile on her face appeared. She was wearing a pair of dark blue jeans and a white long-sleeved shirt. No, Naruto whispered with despair as he knew what was going to happen next. Naruto's body moved on its own as he drew his tanto and pierced the girl's heart with it. Blood dripped from the girl's mouth, and yet she smiled at him and looked with her bright eyes, which were losing the life in them. Naruto felt his very being shake at his actions. We aren't done yet, Itachi said, and as Naruto's body turned around, he saw himself doing the same to Naruko. The young blonde smiled sadly at him as her body fell to the ground as he saw himself draw the tanto from her dead body. Since you can take the pain of death, Naruto, then let's see if you can take the pain of killing off the most closest to your heart and feeling their pain while doing it for the next 72 hours. Itachi finished, and the torture continued. Argahar. Naruto screamed in pain as he was forced to relive the pain and death of the 2 girls who were the closest to his heart for 72 hours. Itachi's left eye bled as he fell on one knee and panted as he held his left eye in pain. You done? Shursui asked as his Sharingan changed, and its design turned into a 4-point pinwheel. Why yes. Itachi breathed out tiredly since he wasn't used to his new jutsu and the toll it took on him. Shui looked at Naruto's petrified form as his body was frozen like a statue, and his Sharingan eyes looked dull compared to his usual glowing red eyes. Let's get this over with, Shui said, but before he could cast his technique, he noticed a change in Naruto's eyes. The ring that held the three tomo in his pupils started to shrink and get smaller and get closer to his iris, while a new ring formed that held three new tomo. Then the new ring also got smaller, and a new ring formed with three tomo. His new Sharingan now had three rings with three tomo in each ring, and Shui could feel the power behind those eyes. So this is his Manjikyu? Shui thought, but was greatly surprised when Naruto's new Sharingan started spinning and the tomo started to change shape and form into three evenly spaced curves like Itachi, but between the curves was three more bladed curves. It looked like six curves, but three even while the other three bladed and edged. The curves were all evenly balanced, and in between both the two even and bladed curve was a tomo. I'll put a link to the picture soon, but till then imagine something akin to Itachi's MS, but with three tomo and three bladed like curves mixed in. I am possible. How could his Sharingan evolve? And his Manjikyu, its power, it's amazing, I can feel it growing. I have to use my Kodoame Tsukumi before his Sharingan fights back, Shui thought hurriedly as he activated his jutsu. Kodoame Tsukumi, Shui whispered as he used his ocular power and rewrote his memory. As Shui finished, Naruto fell to the ground. So were you successful? Itachi said as he slung Shui's arm over his shoulder and held him upright so that he doesn't fall down. Why yeah, I rewrote his memory so that he thinks we killed the clan so that we could gain the Manjikyu and didn't think the clan deserved to live anymore since they were weak. I know that won't work on him either, but I've placed a strong desire on him to not think about it and believe that we did it for that simple reason. This memory is better because he will remember our Manjikyu. So the memory will fit, and he will think we used him as a practice for our power, Shui said, panting, while keeping his left eye closed shut. Looks like our mission is now complete. We should get going before anyone else shows up, Itachi said as both friends started move towards the village gate. You will be the one who will restore our clan Naruto and bring back our honor, Shui said quietly to himself, but Itachi heard him and internally agreed since in his opinion Naruto was the best choice to lead the clan or their case restore it. Please take care of my little brother Naruto, Itachi internally hoped. With Naruto, what the best friends weren't aware of after they both used their jutsu on Naruto was that he had to go through yet another torture. Flashback. Thud was the sound made as a small 3-year-old boy with black spiky hair and sky blue eyes fell on his ass after trying to climb a tree to get himself an apple from it. Ow, mumbled Naruto as he rubbed his behind and glared at the tree as though it had pushed him down. He was sound of giggles as Naruto turned around and looked at an older girl that looked about 12 years old with long light brown hair that looked blonde in the sun, which reached her lower back, bright turquoise color eyes, and a playful smile on her lips. She was wearing dark blue jeans with a white long-sleeved shirt and brown sandals. Naruto scowled at the older girl and huffed. What's so funny? He asked in irritation and slight embarrassment. Nothing, it's just you look so cute with that pout on your face, she said giggling, and Naruto glared in irritation. I'm not pouting, and don't you have anything better to do than to laugh at me? He asked with a scowl. The girl had to stop herself from shouting cute at the sight of the boy scowling, but it only made him look cuter with a bigger pout. Well, how about I teach you how to climb? You want to get that apple, right? I'll teach you so can get it anytime, the girl said with a confident smile, and Naruto snorted. First off, why would a girl know how to climb a tree? That's what boys do, and second, why do you want to teach me? There are lots of other kids in the orphanage. The girl's smile faltered a little at the statement. Why wouldn't I want to help such a cute little boy? And besides, everyone else is either having fun or playing around with someone, but every time I see you, you're always alone. Naruto just scowled and looked away. They don't want to play with me or want to be friends, so who cares like I need them? He grumbled, and the girl smiled. Then how about I play with you? And be your friend? Asked the girl with a smile. Naruto was taken aback by the question since no one ever genuinely wanted to be friends with him. Why do you want to do that? The girl smiled a beautiful smile. Because I see a cute little boy that needs help and I want to help him, and besides, isn't it common sense to help someone in trouble when you can? Naruto nodded dumbly as the girl began to climb up the tree and told him how to do it while climbing. I'm Naruto. What's your name? He introduced himself and asked the older girl. The girl smiled at him. It's Mia, but call me Nason, okay? The sun blinded his vision as he looked up a tree. When he could see again, he was staring at the dead eyes of the same girl who became his first friend and was like a sister to him. He looked at the corpse for what felt like hours as he held her close to his body. I'm so sorry, Nason. If only I was stronger, then this wouldn't have happened, cried a younger Naruto as he held the girl's dead body close. What happened here? Asked an enraged voice as an Uchiha police officer entered the room and was shocked to see a 4-year-old boy holding an older girl close to him. What shocked the police was the blood-red eyes with 3 tomos spinning wildly inside, which glowed as the boy cried. So that large chakra spike was from the boy, concluded the police as he saw the dead body of a non-clan Chunin ninja. This boy, his chakra is nothing like I've ever felt before, though the police in surprise as he came closer and inspected the girl and sighed as he checked her pulse and saw the strangle marks on her throat. Boy, I am sorry, but she is dead. Naruto choked a sob as buried memories and emotions flooded his mind. He always thought he was strong physically, mentally, and emotionally, and that emotions would never affect him much, but all he was doing was suppressing them. He felt miserable and powerless as back when he first lost his most precious person to him, and now his clan who had accepted him with open arms. His vision went back to the orphanage as he stared at the beautiful young girl in front of him as she called him Naruto, Naruto, Naruto. His eyes opened as he stared at ocean blue eyes filled with worry and fear and on the verge of tears. You're all right, the young blonde yelled as she hugged the now conscious Anbu as he stared blankly in front of him. Naruto was on the verge of tears and hugging him while yelling he was all right, and Sasuke was crying as in a corner mumbling about his parents. Both children in their fear and despair overlooked the new design of the Anbu's Sharingan as it radiated power but were hidden to the world as he closed his eyes shut. Looks like your Jinjutsu failed, Shursui, and it only resurfaced memories I wanted buried, and you just made my flames of hatred stronger. This damned corrupted village let the Uzumaki die, killed the Uchiha, and took away my first precious person. This place is rotten to the core. Itachi, Shursui, you both gave your loyalty to the wrong side. This corrupted village is going to burn to ashes from the inside out, and no one will stop me. Naruto thought with rage and hatred, but didn't let it show on his face. I'm okay, Naruto, sorry for worrying you, he said as he hugged her close to himself. You're the only precious person I have left in the world, and Sasuke is the only family I have left. I swear this time I won't let even the gods harm you, Naruto thought with anger. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and looked at the Hokage monument. My hatred will burn down everything to ashes, he thought as he glared at the Hokage faces. The sound of sniffling stopped him from his raging thoughts, and he looked at the young blonde girl hugging him and couldn't help but smile despite having the strong urge to start a massacre himself. I'm okay, Naruto, but what about you? Are you hurt? Naruto asked as he looked at the young blonde stop sniffling and look at him. No, I'm fine. Me and Sasuke came late today from the training grounds, and when we got here, everyone was dead and why you were unconscious, answered the blonde as she rubbed eyes to wipe off the tears. What time is it then? Asked Naruto as he looked at Sasuke, who was on the ground still in shock, and sighed seeing he was at least physically all right. It's around 10, answered the blonde, and Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. I was only out for half an hour. Then what are those chakra signatures doing here? They are all Jonin level and I don't recognize them either. Need to find out who are they, Naruto thought in alarm as he got up and steadied himself. Naruto, I want you and Sasuke to go with my shadow clones. I need to check something, and I want to be sure that you two are safe. I'll be back as fast as I can, Naruto ordered as he made 4 sealess shadow clones, and the clone's body flickered them away to the secret clan bunker to hide them. Now then, let's see who are these guys, Naruto said to himself as he ran towards the chakra signatures that were well hidden, but not well enough. Naruto got to the chakra signatures as fast as possible and the sight he arrived at made his blood boil. 3 ninjas wearing Anbu gear, but the main difference was their masks were blank, and they were using medical ninjutsu to steal the eyes of his clan members. Root, I should have seen this coming, Danzo. Naruto thought angrily as he glared at the emotionless tools and flared his Sharingan. He wasn't supposed to see this incapacitate him, ordered the leader of the 3. Before anyone could move, though, time seemed to come to a stop for Naruto, as his Manjikyu flared to life by itself in response to his rage. What is this? Naruto asked himself as information flooded his mind and new power flooded through his body. Naruto grinned like a predator as time seemed to start again, but before the root Anbu could do anything, Naruto cast his jutsu. Iron no Zetsubo, Naruto whispered with a grin, and the root did the most stupidest mistake of making eye contact and were cast under the illusion. World of Zetsubo. We can't move, the leader observed emotionlessly as he tried to move but couldn't. That's because I don't want you to, Naruto said with his grin growing wider as he stood casually. The root Anbu tried their hardest to move, but it seemed futile, and the leader decided not wanting to give out any information to commit suicide by activating the explosion seal under his tongue, but couldn't. Yeah, I don't think so, Naruto answered as he slowly moved towards the root Anbu. You see, the reason you can't move is because I don't want you to. You could talk before because I allowed it. In this world, I'm literally God. Everything you do, will do. I know it, and can decide whether it can happen or not. Now then, what to do with you, scum? Naruto asked thoughtfully. Let's see if I can do this, Naruto said as he snapped his fingers and 2 of the root Anbu were cut into 10 pieces. Think elfin light style. The leader still looked on like a drone, not moving or showing any emotion, though the only indication was he's shaking, which Naruto noticed since it was his world. Looks like I don't have enough practice to control the difference in time between here and reality, Naruto said, sounding a little disappointed. I would torture you before killing you for what you were doing, but seeing as you're only a tool, it will only be waste of time, Naruto said as he snapped his fingers again, and the Yanbu was slowly bisected in the waist and neck, and Naruto allowed him to scream. Again, elfin light-style death, only very slow. Reality. From afar, anyone who would see the exchange would see the ninjas staring at each other before the root Anbu were cut from out of nowhere, without any source of chakra, weapon, or anything. It would be very surreal for any ninja to see the event. I wonder why didn't my eyes bleed? Naruto asked himself, not caring about the gore and smell in front of him. Water release. Water bullet jutsu. A great ball of water was fired, another from another root Anbu from atop a house. Naruto only turned his head and whispered, Kamui. The bullet of water seemingly disappeared into thin air as though it never existed in the first place before the same jutsu appeared again out of nowhere a meter behind root Anbu and made contact, smashing the Anbu to the ground. One left, Naruto said with a smirk as he disappeared out of sight and instantly appeared behind the root Anbu and slit his throat. As the root Anbu fell to the ground, Naruto saw the last Anbu get up from getting hit with the water bullet, but before he could gather himself, he screamed in agony as a strange hole started to open from inside his chest and expanded while shredding the Anbu, leaving no trace behind. And that's the last one, Naruto said as he used his chakra sensing and noted that Anbu he recognized were coming towards the clan compound. Later, the Yanbu arrived and were shocked to find the entire district empty of life except 3 signatures, and they decided to ask Naruto considering they knew his chakra. What happened here, Naruto, and why aren't you wearing your mask? Asked an Yanbu with spiky silver hair. Itachi and Shursui happened, Naruto answered with a hollow voice. Later, the entire village had gathered for the funeral of the Uchiha clan, though there weren't any coffins since Naruto had burned all the corpses opposed to the usual, only burying them. Many among the people were very shaken and saddened since some were their friends, teachers, role models, comrades, etc., and were even more shocked to know that Itachi and Shursui had killed them all. The Hokage had announced them as S-rank missing ninja with very high bounties. We will bring them to justice, Naruto, I promise you that, the 3rd Hokage said solemnly as he looked at Naruto, who had an expressionless face. There is no justice for them, Hokage. They did this for power, and for that they will be taken down without mercy, Naruto said, and the Hokage nodded gravely, without saying anything as he left. Looks like he thinks I don't know the truth. Good, now I don't have to worry about him suspecting me knowing the truth, Naruto thought, as he went over plans of getting his revenge. So many ways to go about this, but each one needs me to have Naruto and Sasuke to be in BU level. I'll have to start their training as soon as possible, and I'll have to have a talk with Sasuke. He should out of the hospital by now, Naruto thought as he walked away from the funeral, considering it was coming to an end, and made his way towards Sasuke's location. Yes, he is stable enough for you to take him home, but he should rest for a week at least, since the experience should have been very devastating for him, explained the doctor as he signed some papers and handed them to a nurse. Naruto nodded quietly and made his way through the halls of Konoha Hospital. The hospital is in the manga and anime, so won't be describing it. I'll have to restrain him, considering the truth I have to tell him. He won't believe anyone other than me about his brother, and I'll have to make sure he doesn't spout out any information to anyone if they try to subtly interrogate him, Naruto thought, as he entered Sasuke's room and looked at the young boy, and could easily tell he couldn't believe what had happened to him and his family. His face just screamed sorrow and pain. The young Ianbu made his way towards the boy and placed his hand on his shoulder. We need to talk, Naruto said as both of the last Uchiha disappeared in a bolt of lightning. Uchiha clan compound. Both of them reappeared again in a dimly lit traditional room with Uchiha fan symbols on the door and walls, which was one of the Uchiha clan's secret meeting rooms. The room had other two occupants as well, which were Naruto and a shadow clone of Naruto, who nodded towards his creator and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto, what's going on? Asked a confused Naruto as she looked at the young Ianbu, who moved towards the door. Wait a minute, Naruto said as he bit his left thumb and went through a few hand seals. As he finished, he placed his left hand on the door, sealing art, barrier seal, and as he said those words, an array of seals covered the doors for a moment before they disappeared. All right, now we can begin, Naruto said as he moved away from the door and sat on the tatami floor. Sasuke, what I'm about to tell you is very important, and it is the truth of why Itachi and Shisui massacred our clan. So I need you to sit down and listen attentively. The truth might hurt, but you need to let me finish, Naruto said seriously as he looked at his young clansman, whose eyes widened in surprise, and quickly sat across from him. Naruto, you need to know as well, and I also have something very important to discuss with you after this, said the genius Anbu, and the young blonde nodded. All right, I'll start from the beginning. Before the great ninja villages were formed, there were ninja clans who fought each other constantly, either for resources, area, or contracts from clients. They would always fight. The strongest and the ones that stood out the most were the Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki. Naruto would have continued if Naruto didn't interrupt him. Wait, there was an Uzumaki clan? But I thought I was just given this name, and why didn't you tell me before? Naruto asked as she looked at her savior with curiosity and a little hurt that he kept a secret like that from her. I was going to tell you when you became a Chunin, since then the Hokage would have allowed it, but now that the circumstances have changed, I don't give a damn, and it's important that you know that truth, Naruto said as he looked at the young blonde, who nodded, seeing as he was going to explain everything to her soon enough, but was a little worried since a secret that the Hokage forbade couldn't be something small. All right, like I was saying, they were the top 3 clans, you could say, but the Uchiha and Senju fought endlessly. Way too many lives were lost in their battles, and the most strongest among them was Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. They were the best, but it was clear that if Hashirama ever lost or died, then there wouldn't be anyone to stop Madara from wiping out the Senju. Later on, when Hashirama got tired of the endless battles, he decided to make peace with the Uchiha, which led to the formation of the Hidden Leaf Village. Time passed, and the Senju slowly died out, but their teachings didn't. Though some of teachings became corrupted, you could say, and slowly the village became arrogant and power-hungry. One of the main and horrible acts would be the wiping out of the Uzumaki clan. As Naruto said it, both the young academy students' eyes widened in shock. What? What? Naruto asked in anger and shock, but Sasuke had an idea as to why. Simple. The Uzumaki had made their own village, the village hidden in the whirlpools, and since they didn't have so many battles, their numbers were in the thousands, and they became a threat to the Leaf. Even though they always were their allies. So the Leaf betrayed them by giving away the village secret entrances and defenses to Kumo, Iwa, and Kiri. It was a bloodbath. Very few survived since the three villages had brought in their Jinchuriki, and with their help Whirlpool was wiped out. I found this out after I raided one of the root facilities. I'll explain what root is later, but onto the more important part. Naruto took a breath to calm down and looked at both Sasuke and Naruto in the eyes with complete seriousness. Our clan saw that the village was becoming arrogant and wasn't headed in a proper direction. If it continued, then they were sure that there would be war again soon, which we wouldn't win. So we decided to stage a coup, but failed since there were two moles for the village. Those were Itachi and Shursui. Naruto said, and Sasuke's eyes widened. He instantly got a dreadful feeling of what he was about to hear next. Itachi and Shursui loved the clan, but their love for the village was more so when the Hokage ordered it, they killed off the clan. Why? Sasuke asked almost breathlessly since he couldn't comprehend as to why his brother would betray his own people. Simple, they knew that if some were spared, then they would leave the village, which would result in them losing the Sharingan. So they decided to kill off the rest and keep someone who could restore the clan, so to speak, and that was me. My Sharingan and skills were much better than Itachi and Shursui's, so I was chosen to restore the clan for Konoha even though I was supporting the coup. They planned it in a way so that I wouldn't be in the village when it happened and make it look like it was Itachi and Shursui's fault and not the village's. Naruto finished somberly, and as he looked at Sasuke, he could understand the disbelief in his eyes. But if that's true, then why didn't he kill me? Sasuke asked desperately. Naruto sighed at the question since he didn't really know why. Maybe it was because he wasn't in the area and got lucky since Itachi had to leave by the time he arrived. He couldn't really tell since Itachi killed off everyone, even his own parents. I don't really know why. Naruto told me you both came late because you were practicing taijutsu, so I think you got lucky and weren't there when it happened, and by the time you came Itachi had probably left. And as Naruto finished, Sasuke could feel fear, relief, but most of all burning hate boiling inside his body. He was spared because he was lucky, but worst of all was that his brother betrayed his clan, family, and was going to kill him too. Sasuke lowered his head in anger and clenched his hands as his anger kept on increasing. So Sasuke, what are you going to do now? Naruto asked, but he already knew the answer. Sasuke raised his head and looked at Naruto in eyes with rage and determination. I'll make Itachi and the village pay. Naruto nodded. Good, then we have the same goal, and I'll help you achieve it, Naruto said, and Sasuke nodded since he understood Naruto would also want revenge. Wait, but that means you'll be against the entire village. You can't just fight them like that. You'll get killed. Naruto yelled in shock, and Naruto sighed. True, there is strength in numbers, even if the quality is low, but that's why I'm going to train you two to help me and survive, said Naruto, and Sasuke nodded acceptance, while Naruto seemed unsure. Naruto sighed as he looked at the young blonde who seemed more scared than sure, but it was logical since going up against the strongest military village in the world with just two people doesn't seem very reassuring. Naruto, there are some things you should know. First of all, about your parents, Naruto said, and Naruto felt herself stop breathing at the mention of knowing her parents, since it is every orphan's dream to find out who their parents are. Your father was easy to figure out, but your mother was a little difficult since their marriage was done in secret. Nonetheless, your father is Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, and your mother is Kushina Uzumaki, the heiress of the Uzumaki clan. As he finished, both Naruto and Sasuke felt shock for the umpteenth time that day. How? But if I'm the daughter of the Hokage, then why didn't anyone tell me? Naruto asked in shock and sorrow, but inside she felt a little happy knowing she was the daughter of two great people. It's standard procedure to seal a tailed beast inside a child who is related to the Hokage or someone in high position in order to keep them loyal, and if not possible, then they're sealed inside any child that can hold the tailed beast. You're the daughter of the Hokage and an Uzumaki, thus making you the perfect candidate for the sealing, Naruto explained and waited for the question. What are tailed beasts? Sasuke asked curiously. Beings of pure yokai that can cause massive destruction and can't be killed. There are only 9 in the world, and the nine-tailed and strongest is the QB that is sealed inside you. Naruto said slowly to let the young blonde absorb the information and saw her shaking in shock. Naruto quickly moved and hugged the young blonde close to himself to calm her down. Why me? Naruto asked as tears started to form in her eyes. It was probably the only choice since the QB couldn't be killed and you were the only one available to him for the sealing. Either that or everyone in the village would have been killed me. Sasuke, Mikoto Obasan, everyone. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. You saved us all, and even the Hokage asked the village to treat you as a hero you are as his last wish, but that was ignored by the majority of the village. Naruto explained and felt that the young blonde was calming down a little from his words. What about my mother? Is she alive? Naruto stuttered to ask the question, and Naruto sighed sadly. I'm sorry, but she died that night due to blood loss, Naruto answered, and the young blonde began to cry silently. Naruto tried to soothe her and calm her down, and eventually Naruto did after a few minutes, and Sasuke quietly watched and silently sympathized with his rival since he knew perfectly well the pain of losing your parents. Why didn't anyone tell me this before? Why didn't you? Naruto asked as she sniffled. The Hokage forbade it with death penalty. I only knew of your sealing at first. I figured out about your heritage and parents later on. I was going to tell you this later, but seeing the circumstances it would better if you knew the truth so no one fools you with lies. Then is that it? I'm just a weapon to the village. Naruto asked almost hopelessly. To the village you are, but to me you're my most precious person in the world, and I'm not going to let this village or anyone else hurt you. Naruto said with burning determination as he looked at Naruto, who felt her heart warm up at the words. Naruto, I don't know if you want to destroy this village for what it's done, and if you don't want, then it's dash. Naruto would have continued if he wasn't interrupted again. I'll do it. I'll help you and Sasuke take down this village, Naruto said determined, and Naruto smiled at the young blonde for her determination, but inside he felt like shit having to train two kids in order to take down a corrupt village which would no doubt end in a bloodbath. Well then guess we have a lot of training to do if we want to take this place down, Naruto asked, and both Naruto and Sasuke nodded. 1 month later. Come on, is that all you've got? Move faster. You still have 2 more reps to complete. Naruto ordered, and Naruto and Sasuke groaned in protest while their bodies ached in pain and agony. After the shocking truth was revealed to them, both Naruto and Sasuke decided to help Naruto take down the leaf. Both of them had their own reasons while Naruto didn't want to destroy the village that her father sacrificed his life for. She couldn't ignore the fact the leaf sold out her mother's village and disrespected his last wish, and the last nail on the coffin was the massacre of the Uchiha. They were the only people in the village that respected and liked her and weren't afraid to show it. Killing them off and wanting to use Naruto as a tool made her decision to destroy the corrupted village that will destroy more lives if left alone. Sasuke's reason was simple. He wanted revenge on the village for destroying his clan, but most of all his brother, who chose the village over his own family and was going to kill him too if he weren't lucky to not be there. Knowing that his life would have been over that night made his blood boil. He wasn't strong enough to protect anyone. He isn't strong enough to protect anyone even now. If his brother wanted to kill someone, he wouldn't be able to stop him. While the determination of both the young ninja was admirable, it wasn't enough against the ridiculous training regime they were going through right now. Do you seriously think you two can beat any capable ninja with the level you are at now? Then let me tell you, you can't. That ninja would destroy you. Me and Itachi had to go through training that was way harder than this when we were your age, and we did all of it with stride. If you want to beat anyone in life, then you have to train harder, better, longer than them. And if you can't, then you'll lose. Talent and Kekkei Genkai means shit if your mind and body are too weak to use them. So move faster and complete the rep for me. Naruto ordered, and Sasuke moved faster when he heard Itachi trained harder than what he was doing. While he hates him, he now understood how Itachi became so strong. The training he went through must have been hell. Naruto, on the other hand, couldn't believe that Naruto went through tougher training when he was her age and understood one thing, that even if someone wasn't as talented as someone else, their gap could always be broken with the right amount of hard work. Naruto had taken them out of the academy by his power as the new clan head, stating that they needed proper training, now seeing as Sasuke was one of the last Uchiha left and his survival was important while Naruto was his apprentice. The fangirls and fanboys that were beginning to form whined about their idols leaving the academy, but there wasn't anything they could do, and both Naruto and Sasuke were grateful that they could get away from the brainless annoyances. Naruto himself couldn't quit the ANBU since if there weren't any ninja from a clan serving the village, then that clan wouldn't be counted as a ninja clan and would lose a lot of power and prestige that came with that status, so he had to work tirelessly. Though he only started taking on special missions that didn't need him to be out of the village for too long, and only took the most dangerous and high-paying missions that involved killing off dangerous ninjas or stealing documents from the most tightly guarded places. The missions did three things for Naruto. One was to make him stronger, let him practice his Manjikyu powers, and lastly provide a large sum of money for him that he would need in the future. While Naruto would be in the village, he mostly kept himself in the clan compound or the ANBU HQ. The training he made Naruto and Sasuke undergo for the first month, which would continue for 1 year, was physical and mental training. The training involved waking up at sunrise, 10 minutes of whole body stretching, then starting their workout of 2 hours, which involved them running up the Hokage mountain with weight and resistance seals on that worked on making them have stamina, speed, and some strength. Then next was strength exercises that involved different forms of push-ups and other strength-building exercises that didn't buff them up, but rather make their muscles denser and push their limits to the max. Then they were forced to do a 20-minute sparring session with Naruto in which they would get their asses kicked, but it also helped them to gain pain tolerance while gaining fighting experience at the same time. After the sparring session, they would get a break in which they would get their breakfast, which consisted of a breakfast that Naruto would make that was high in protein and carbs for them. After breakfast, they would do mental exercises that consisted of either solving puzzles, mazes, or do genjutsu detection to help them always be prepared and ready for any situation. After that, they would get a couple of hours of their own free time, while Naruto made sure to spend some time with them. In the evening, they would do strenuous physical exercises that pushed their bodies to the limit again. This training regime has continued to over a month, and it was steadily getting the results that Naruto wanted. Sasuke's chakra reserves had increased about half his entire reserves, and his stamina had increased by 1/3 his max. Naruto's taijutsu had increased dramatically, which combined with her amazing stamina reserves made her a non-stop fighting machine. Sasuke himself couldn't be more grateful for the training, but what he appreciated more was the fact that Naruto treated him like his own little brother, which made his heart ache a little since Itachi never gave him the time of the day, or train him, or have fun with him. Even Naruto's incessant pranks made him feel like he hadn't lost everything, even though it got annoying sometimes. The three training together for over the month had not only gotten stronger, but even formed bonds that would soon become unbreakable. 5 months later, it was sunrise and both Naruto and Sasuke woke up almost automatically since the training had ingrained waking up early in their bodies, and both came out from their respective rooms after they did their morning rituals. After the first month of training, Naruto decided it would be better if they all moved into a bigger house, so they took one of the empty mansions that wasn't being used by anyone in the compound before and moved in. Though there was a little scuffle between Naruto and Sasuke when it came to who gets which room. But that aside, both ninja and training came to the luxurious living where Naruto was waiting for them while watching TV. "Good morning, Naruto/morning Naruto," greeted Naruto and Sasuke respectively. "Morning, you two. So ready for training?" Naruto asked the last part with a grin, and both Sasuke and Naruto sighed, since there was no secret that Naruto enjoyed watching them struggle through the hellish training. "Yeah/yes," both replied tiredly. Even though they got used to the training somewhat, that didn't mean they liked it, but they couldn't argue with the results either. "Good. But since you two have been working so well on your physical training, I've decided that today you two will start chakra control," Naruto said with a wicked grin, which sent shivers down Naruto and Sasuke's spines. "We're in for a lot of hellish training, aren't we?" Naruto asked, and Sasuke nodded shakily, not trusting his voice, since they both knew whenever Naruto made that face then it meant hell for them. "Then let's begin." Naruto said almost sadistically, and the hellish training started with a whole new level of pain and agony.
So, what did you guys think about Naruto becoming the greatest prodigy Konoha was always meant to have? Personally, I absolutely loved this story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you later.